Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here, welcome back to Granblue Fantasy Relink. Thank you so much for joining me here on stream, everyone. It's good to see you guys. Cygames, congratulations on being first today. And Angora, welcome to the stream. Dragdoon, it's good to see you. Mabu, thank you. And Kieran, hello, thank you so much for the sub. 14 months. We've known each other for over a year. Isn't that amazing? But it feels like I've known you for much longer. Thank you so much for all your support, I really appreciate it. So we are back playing Granblue Fantasy Relink. Last time on stream, I beat all the Proud difficulty quests. So there's only a couple things left to do, which is one of most, going through the Fate episodes. Now, we've already gone through 4 Fate episodes for the Dragon Knights. And if you're watching this on YouTube, that video is actually going to come later, out of order, because I want all the Fate episodes to be published at around the same time. Now, I'm saving the Fate episodes for last for a couple reasons. One is because I don't have all the characters yet. I haven't recruited everyone because I wanted to make Terminus weapon farming easier for me. But I also want to have all the Fate episodes published on YouTube, like, back-to-back consecutively. So that's why we saved them for the end. But the other reason is because the Fate episodes are kind of boring, to be very, very honest. They're kind of boring, and I'll explain what that means in a little bit. So, but we happen to have, I could do them in batches of 4, because each character's Fate episode takes about 45 minutes, give or take, so that's about this, you know, for 4 characters, that's about 1 stream. So I'll do them in batches of 4, and I'll kind of group them according to what makes sense. Like, I did all the Dragon Knights together. We're gonna do the Grand Cypher crew first, and we'll start with the first 4 characters, the first 4 characters that you start with in the mobile game, and we'll go from there. So in the interim, I have been farming with Vayne, and my Vayne's gotten pretty strong.
Ooh, hope I turned off the stove.
I was lucky enough to get a few good rolls on my sigils, and I'm still trying to re-roll my Transmarvel sigils to get some good ones, because I was reading about how you actually want to keep your 2 character sigils, so in this case Hero's Will and Hero's Creed. There, you could get a sigil, which is the Awakening sigil, which combines both these together, which at first a lot of people thought was a good idea because it saves you a sigil slot because you combine them, but turns out you actually want them separate because they can both roll attack secondaries, and if you have both of them with attack secondaries, you basically get 2 extra attack slots. So I've been trying to re-roll that. I also farmed out the materials to get Stoutheart, which has been a game changer, but it took me so long to farm out those materials, so you can just buy this one from Shiro, but you need to turn in some treasures for it. I'm not going to go into the details. For people that play this game, you kind of already know, but I just thought I'd update you on my progress.
I'm ready to fight.
So, what are Fate episodes? Let me explain.
Come to view the requests?
So here, all the characters have what we call Fate episodes, which are basically little stories about them, so you get to know the character. Because a lot of the characters don't participate in the main story, like the Grand Cypher crew does, but like Gondagoza, the Dragon Knights, Cagliostro, they don't actually do anything in the main story of the game, other than just fight for you and say a couple lines. So this is your chance to get to know the characters, especially for people coming into this game from the gacha, or from who have not played the gacha game, don't know anything about the characters, so this is a good chance to get to know them. In the mobile game, Fate episodes are basically the same idea. Little mini short episodes about the characters. They get one when you recruit them, they get one when they reach level 45 and learn a new skill. Months or years later, they'll usually get a level uncap that lets you uncap them from level 80 to 100. There's usually a Fate episode at level 80, and then there's one at level 100 as well. So, chances for you to get to know the characters. The cool thing is also, if you have not rolled a character in the gacha game, you can also preview their Fate episode, which lets you watch like the first half of their first Fate episode, just to get a taste of what you're in for it and decide if you actually want to roll for them. And every time a character gets a new version in the game, they get a new Fate episode. So, for example, Lancelot has his original version as water. Later on, they came out with a wind version of him, which also has its own Fate episodes, which continues his story, and then they came out with another water version of him that was called Grand Lancelot, and he also got Fate episodes too. And sometimes these Fate episodes tie into some of the seasonal events or the monthly events in the game, but not always. And they're usually presented in like a visual novel style. Usually the characters talk to each other. It's mostly dialogue with very sparse narration in between. And it's all voice acted. Now, this game does Fate episodes a little bit differently. Instead of being visual novel, I mean, there's still visual novel type segments, but they're written in more of a prose form and in first-person narration, which is kind of weird for me. I'm not usually a fan of first-person narration. I mean, I think it definitely has its merits, but I also think the prose type of writing here is kind of, it doesn't quite lend itself the same way. And weirdly enough, instead of just having character portraits talking to us or character models talking to us, it's static images in the background, and I also find that kind of weird in this game. It's less engaging. But they are fully voiced, which is nice. I just thought that if they're gonna bother fully voicing everything, they might as well just have the models on the screen talking to each other. Kind of like they do in Granblue Versus, that's what I was expecting, but instead it's not, which I think is a shame. Now, of the Fate episodes we've done so far, I mean, one of them was really good, and the others were kind of more mediocre, so I think your mileage may vary. So some of these might be boring, and some of these might be interesting. I don't know. I haven't done Gran or Catalina or Rackham or Eo's Fate episodes yet, so I guess we will find out. Hopefully it's not too much of a snooze fest, but definitely these types of streams, I feel like, require less input from me, because there's a lot of just listening to the characters narrate, but I'll sprinkle in my thoughts here and there. But I do want to get, I want to get started on these, because again, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out next week, and I want to wrap up this game as much as I can, but I also need to finish farming up my Terminus weapon, so it's a little bit of a give and take. Ash, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Before we start, I also just want to show you all the characters' color palettes, just because we have not done that for all the characters. So, we have Gran. He has a few different colors. Everyone has a black version and a white version for color 4 and 5. Color 7 is him using Jita's palette, which I think is kind of interesting. And then color 8 is his Eternals outfit. And then for Gran, specifically, he has different costumes, because you can change between his original one and his armor. And they follow mostly the same color schemes, but not quite. So this one is his idol outfit. You can see the plaid on his hood from one of the music CD skins. And then this one's supposed to be his... you get a skin for getting Belial in Granblue Versus for the mobile game, and I think this one's a reference to that, because he's got the gray hair and the Belial colors and the red eyes. Then Gina. And I've talked about this before, but this game originally wasn't supposed to have Gran or Gita. It was supposed to have its original protagonist, and they saw the popularity of Gran and Gita with Versus and then switched them out. This is Jita's idol outfit, I believe. And then Eternal's outfit. And then similarly here, idol outfit. And then Belial outfit. We'll go with default just because. And then let's look at Catalina's. I like Catalina's design. Ooh, this one's very bright. This one looks like Zeta. Oh, this one must be Vera. Let's look at what Rackham has. And then Io. Yeah, so the colors for the characters, the first few colors you get for beating the main story, then you get a couple colors for beating Maniac mode, or unlocking Maniac, and then the last ones are DLCs. So you have to, unfortunately, you have to buy those, but they do come in a bundle on the DLC shop, so you can get a little bit of a discount. I originally was not going to buy them because they're kind of expensive, but in the end I gave in. Okay, let's do some Fate episodes. Let's start with Gran. This is very interesting because Gran has never had a Fate episode before because he's the player character in the gacha game, so he doesn't have Fate episodes there. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder how this is going to play out. Because again, so he's usually a silent protagonist, but in this game they kind of strike a difference because in Versus he has a full personality and a full voice, while here he only really voices whenever you have like a dialogue option. Or when he's narrating something that happened in the past. Okay, so usually what happens, at least from what we experienced before, so everyone has a prologue, 9 episodes, and then an epilogue. Usually the prologue and the first like 3 episodes are all just recapping things from the mobile game, and then there's like an original story. Episode 4 and episode 8 usually have battles, so there's 2 battles sprinkled in. So we'll see how it goes. So this is for Gran. Prologue. Her name is Lyria.
Our adventure began with a strange light falling over my home island of Zinkenstill. I chased it to the impact site, where I found a blue-haired girl named Lyria and a knight, Catalina. The girl was shaken, and pretty soon I learned the reason why. She was on the run from Erste Empire soldiers. I knew an unfair fight when I saw one, so I stepped up to protect Lyria from those awful tyrants. Catalina and I fended them off well enough, but when their backs were in the corner, they released a fire-breathing hydra. It charged me, sending me flying into the tree line. Moments away from death, all I could think about was Dad. He'd been the one who trained me, and he'd done a great job, but... well, who expects their son to get attacked by a 5-headed horror? He was going to be devastated.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they didn't put the Hydra in this game as just a recurring boss, because it is also a recurring enemy in the mobile game.
So, it's all over. Just as I began to sink into darkness, a gentle light enveloped my body. Lyria, breathed by a mystical halo, was floating above me with her hand outstretched. She explained that she was going to merge our life forces. Fortunately, it worked. From that moment forward, Lyria and I would be inextricably linked. Looking into her blue eyes, I knew I had nothing to fear, not even death itself. 2 people, 1 life. A greater whole.
So the interesting thing about this is, like, so in the mobile game, originally Lyria wasn't playable. She was added as a character later on, but she basically, you play as the main character, Gran, or Jita, and Lyria basically is whenever you use a summon call in the game, she appears and does the summon for you. This whole plot point about their lives being linked was very important for like the first part of the main story in Granblue. But after a while, they kind of just drop it. Like, they still mention it here and there, but it feels like this was supposed to be like a very big plot point that they eventually kind of figured it was too hindering and just kind of silently swept away. If you look at like really old characters in the game and look at their Fate episodes, there's inconsistencies on the way the lifelink how it works, and how, like, in some instances, just them standing apart from each other would weaken the lifelink, and in other instances, they could be like countries apart and they would be okay. There's also really, really old character Fate episodes where it's implied at some point in time that their lifelink meant that they actually swap places. Like, your character and Lyria would swap body, like almost like they shared a body and would swap in and out. And I think they completely just dropped that entire plot point. But they left those old Fate episodes in. So if you read like really old character stories, you might be like, what's going on? Why does Lyria switch places with Gran all of a sudden? It's only a couple times though that they mention this. It's just very weird.
Lyria had taken a huge risk to save me. Now, if one of us got hit with a fatal blow, it was curtains for both. And that thought awakened in me a desperate hunger for survival, for life. The next moment, Lyria and I felt this reverberation of power. The torrent of emotion rushing from me had awakened something. Darkness and flame swirled around us, coalescing into a massive dragon, Bahamut. With him on our side, we made short work of the Imperial Hydra. Now that their trump card had been blasted into oblivion, the Imperial Army had no choice but to run. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't chased that light. No Lyria, no lifelink, no adventure. Man, I probably wouldn't even have set foot off of Zinkenstill. Fate's a funny thing, isn't it? Since meeting Lyria, we've seen our fair share of joy and happiness, and pain and suffering. But the Grand Cypher crew doesn't buckle under pressure. We'll take on anything the journey throws at us. No regrets.
So, something else that happens in the mobile game is that if you skip a story, which some people do because of time, or they don't have time to play it, or they don't care, but it does give you like a mini summary every time you skip, which is kind of nice. So here, they do the same thing. So now it's like every time you click on a new episode, it'll summarize the previous one for you, which is kind of nice, especially if you don't do them all at once, because you need to unlock these progressively until the character reaches level 60 in this game, or progress the main story, which, of course, we've done both of those things. Kiro meets Catalina and Lyria, who are fleeing from the Erst Empire's military. Kiro fights back against the pursuers and is mortally wounded. Lyria links her life force to Kiro in order to save the selfless youth. The powerful connection established between these two fated individuals awakens the Black Dragon Bahamut, who proceeds to disperse the Imperial forces with a single blast of fire. The journey begins.
Now where was I? Oh, right. We've just humiliated the Empire, who probably had reserves waiting somewhere close by. We realized we needed to get off Zinkenstill. Fast. The Empire was not going to rest while Lyria was on the loose. And I figured that since we shared a life force now and all, it was in everyone's best interests if we stayed together. Plus, I'd always wanted to explore the far reaches of the skies. Though, doing it on the run, not what I had in mind.
I mean, makes sense. If your life was linked to someone else, you probably should be sticking close by to them.
There was so much to think about, so much to decide. But all those plans could come after we had escaped Zinkenstill. I didn't want a whole army, this time with, 30 Hydras marching on my home island. And, well, I had another, more personal reason for wanting to leave. Before I knew it, our journey was at an end. The end. As in, we'd reached the end of the skies. My son, I'm waiting for you on Estalucia. I thought about Dad's letter. I missed him. When I was young, he would take me to the edge of the island, and we'd sit there, admiring the clouds. I wanted so badly to explore those skies, just like Dad. I had to see him again. And now, I wouldn't have to make that journey alone. With Vern, Lyria, and Catalina at my side, we commandeered a small Imperial craft and set out for the greatest of destinations, Estalucia.
So the entire main story of Granblue is about this journey to the place called Estalucia, which is at the end of the skies, because we want to meet up with Gran's dad, who is an unseen character at this point, but is mentioned a few times throughout the journey. Episode 2, Bonds in the Skies. Kiro decides to set out to the skies, hoping to draw Imperial scrutiny away from Zinkenstill in the process. Kiro's ultimate destination is Estalucia, the island of the Astrals where Kiro's father promised he'd be waiting. At long last, Kiro's dream of exploring the vast skies has come true. Bonds in the Skies.
From the moment we left Zinkenstill, our adventures were hectic, to say the least. Catalina, who claimed to be an experienced pilot, crashed our small vessel onto the gusty fields of Port Breeze. But we quickly pulled ourselves together and found a new ally, and helmsman, in the form of Rackham. Since then, we gained more and more allies. And no matter what obstacle we faced, the crew always worked in tandem to find a solution. It's all thanks to their support that I've made it this far. And what a wild ride it's been. To think I had never even set foot off of Zinkenstill. But now, I can't even count the number of islands we've saved, let alone visited. Sure, being a roving band of heroes is difficult, but it's got its perks. New faces, new places, and a whole airship's worth of fun. Who could pass this life up? Anyway, we've just begun the next chapter of our adventure. We discovered another piece of the sky map, which led us to Zega Grande. Yeah, a whole new skydom. Just imagine the danger, the promise. But I knew it was going to be fine. Just another set of memories to add to our ever-growing collection. I hope you're ready, Zega Grande, because here we come.
Episode 3, Vern's Doubt. After departing Zinkenstill, Kiro encounters both new friends and difficult dilemmas, but no matter the situation, Kiro overcomes every obstacle and assembles a fine skyfaring crew. The crew acquire a sky map and follow it to a place they've yet to explore, Zega Grande Skydom. Vern's Doubt.
Skyfarers, we need your aid! Goblins! Goblins in Tempeel!
We were at the dock in Folca, taking care of landing procedures, when a panicked old merchant rushed toward us. In between his wheezing, he explained that a shipment of relief supplies headed for Tempeel had been intercepted by monsters. Tempeel reminded me of Id and how he had totally beat our butts. It was embarrassing, yeah, but what's worse, it reminded me of losing Lyria.
Tempeel, huh? Maybe this time around I can actually help out.
That wasn't Vern's usual peppy tone. He was probably reliving those bad memories, just like me.
Actually, that's kind of weird. In the previous Fate episodes for Gran, he hasn't even mentioned Vern until now. Vern is his best friend growing up. Usually in the mobile game, because Gran is a silent protagonist, Vern and Lyria do almost all the talking for him.
I guess after you've spent as much time together as we have, you pretty much share a brain. It wasn't going to be a fun journey to Tempeel for either of us. But we were Skyfarers, and desperate times called for brave faces. Anyway, goblins. Smart. Fast. That meant we wouldn't have the luxury of time. We needed to throw together the minimum amount of supplies needed for the journey and head out. I turned to Vern so we could discuss game plans, but then I saw his ears were droopy.
If we're fighting goblins, then we should have them licked by lunch.
Something was wrong, but with the hasty flight preparations, I couldn't spare the few minutes to investigate. Pull through it, Vern, I thought. We need you.
So I kind of figured this, because Gran's Fate episodes are probably going to be more about Vern's personality and growth than it is about Gran's, because again, Gran's usually more of a blank slate. Merchant in Folca pleads for Kiro's help. He explains that relief supplies en route to Tempeel were intercepted by goblins, and the crew immediately agrees to assist. Although the loss to Id at Tempeel still haunts Kiro and Vern, they try to put the memory of failure behind them and move on. I've got your back.
A little less than an hour later, it was time to depart. But Vern was nowhere to be found.
Hurry, Skyfarers! We can't waste another second!
The later we got there, the more supplies would be stolen or destroyed. This could add up to weeks or even months of delay in Tempeel's restoration. Vern, I hope you're okay, bud. I was worried out of my mind. But a captain's gotta do what a captain's gotta do. I left a message for Vern with the merchant, and we set out.
Oh, we left Vern behind.
Goblins? I can't even fight stinking goblins! What good am I? Just a scaredy lizard who brings everybody down. Man. If only I was more like my pal, swinging swords and shooting spells. Then I'd finally be able to help out. Maybe I could have stopped Avia from taking Lyria. Maybe I could have done something. How do you live the skyfaring life without combat skills? Heck, I can't even blow sparks, much less fire. What kind of dragon can't breathe fire? Ha! I tell everybody I'm a cool dragon, but I'm just a faker.
You are unworthy.
You were right, Ed. I'm not worthy. Not worthy of being in the crew. Not worthy of being the captain's best bud.
Oh, finally, here you are. I was looking everywhere for you.
Uh-huh. What did this old dude want with me?
Your captain left you a message. The crew's gone on ahead, but as an indispensable member of the Grand Cipher, they want you with them as soon as possible. And that's an order.
Indispensable? That meant, like, VIP, right? Me?
I can't really imagine Gran writing a message that says, like, that's an order. He never says stuff like that, even though he's the captain.
For a second there, I was about to blow it off. Like, yeah, right, my bud's just saying that. But then I remembered, this crew had always kept it real. No lies, no flattery. Yeah, we kicked butt because we believed in one another. These guys were my best friends. And maybe we weren't perfect. I mean, we lost to Id, but my bud put his captain boots on and got right back up and tried again.
Wow, Vern, you've recovered from your entire identity crisis just by pepping yourself up. Good for you.
It was never about swords or magic. It was about always moving forward, never giving up. And more than anything, it was about being there for each other. What was I worrying about? Who cares if I couldn't fight? There are 1,000,002 ways to help on an adventure. I mean, you try questing without a cook or a healer.
Hello? Merchant of Ern, do you read me? If you're done daydreaming now, I've got a ship ready to go.
It was time to get a move on, or I wasn't worth my scales. Sorry, everybody. Your pal Vern is on his way.
Okay, people. It's go time!
The supply should be this way. Let's move.
Uh-oh, our potion stock's running low. We'll be okay against a few goblins.
Hopefully. Just don't over.
He'll be more than okay.
Sure hope Vern's okay.
He was really down, wasn't he? Poor Fern.
Get out of our way! We're in a hurry here!
Armor break!
Damn, back for more. Right when we were about to cross the finish line.
Chasing people! Over there, by the supplies! We have to go help them!
Folks doing okay?
Skyfair! We're doing better now. We need these supplies to repair Tempio. Please, would you protect them?
Phew. I think that was the last of them.
Thank you. You saved Tempio's future.
Heads up,
Wait,
goblin
that's done?
reinforcements.
Oh.
Just don't quit.
Did you miss me? Took me forever to catch up.
Vern!
Vern, was that an explosive? When did you get bombs?
Here come more of those stinking gobbles. Can you take them?
Sure can.
Where? Oh, hi.
Chant it down! Finish this!
Heads up, people. Got enough for ya?
Well, I can't even get to them fast enough. You guys are... They're all... Rackham and EO are ranged.
Yikes! Wyverns are coming from above! Watch your noggin!
If those goblins manage to steal any more of the supplies, then the relief effort's good as done. No kidding. They've already hauled half our grain to higher ground.
Higher ground? Sounds like a job for a cool dragon.
That's a great idea, Vern. Put your wings to use.
Are you sure you can manage? What if the goblins spot you?
He's a cake.
Who
I'll
is
be
he?
back in 30 seconds or your money back.
Okay, I guess we'll just defend while we wait for Vern.
I found some of the stolen supplies. They're safe and sound. Stinking bunch!
Thanks a bunch.
I brought potions! Everyone feeling better?
Thanks, Vern. You're a lifesaver.
Those goblins are getting nasty! Don't fall for their tricks! Got 'em all set! Those stinking gobos didn't get a single sack!
The enemy have started their retreat. I think the worst has passed.
Thanks to you Skyfarers, Tempeal's finally gonna be rebuilt. We owe you everything.
Vern was the real MVP.
Aw, shucks. I bet you say that to all your lifelong pals.
That's cute.
Skyfarers never fail!
Gran striking his classic pose from his very first artwork with the sword out. I like how Rackham like pointed his gun in my direction too during the victory screen. I've got your back.
After we'd secured the supplies, Vern talked about how he didn't think he was good enough for the crew. Obviously, he was the only one that felt that way. I'd always appreciated his support. During fights, he was a supply runner, lookout, and cheerleader. And both on and off the battlefield, he was my courage. But even the best people, and dragons, get discouraged sometimes. I really should have been more vocal about my appreciation. I made sure he knows now. We won the day because he came flying to the rescue. Just like I knew he would.
I'll always be there for you, pal.
He was back to his old self, basking in the praise of the crew. Which caused his ego to swell like a balloon, but hey, who doesn't need a little confidence boost after a dip? And Vern, let me just say it now. I value you. And all the hard work you do. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Yay, Sigil Slot, that's what I'm really here for.
Hello there.
Episode 5, Victory as Sweet as an Apple. So Vern really likes apples as one of the running character traits of his. Vern confesses he feels like he's a burden on the crew. Kiro assures the little dragon his stalwart support bolsters the crew's morale and encourages Vern to keep doing what he's doing. Thanks to the heartfelt pep talk from his best buddy, Vern's confidence comes roaring back. Victory as sweet as an apple.
Sometime after our mission in Tempeal, we bumped into the old merchant in Folca.
Well, look who the cat dragged in. Thanks for handling things in Tempeal. You all deserve the best.
Tempeal had been roughed up by Furican's rampage, and all of the locals were busy repairing the damage. The work we did that day had been crucial to those recovery efforts.
Out of curiosity, my young lizard friend, were you much help to your crew?
Uh-oh. He said the L word. I turned to Vern, ready for his usual furious tagline.
Thanks, Pops. You really helped me see the light.
Huh. This was new.
Vern hates being called a lizard.
The old man threw an apple to Vern, and they exchanged a nod. Then, without explaining this bizarre bond between them that just came out of the blue, he left.
Does anyone else feel like the space-time continuum just broke?
Io was staring, dumbfounded at the small dragon, who was already happily munching away on a tart Granny Smith. Had he matured? Enough to ignore his most hated of hated insults?
Seriously, this is just too much to believe. He called you a lizard and everything. Maybe the ship will be a little quieter from now on, huh?
Hold it! I ain't no lizard! And don't you say that in front of the apple! What if it hears you?
Since when did Vern ever think that apples could listen?
Maybe he'd get there in another adventure or two.
Episode 6, Lyria Reminiscence. Oh, so maybe like this arc was about, like these 3 episodes were about Vern, and then these ones are going to be about Lyria. I guess that makes sense, because they don't have Fate episodes. The crew bumps into the same merchant who had requested their help with the Tempeal supplies. When the merchant calls Vern a lizard, Vern surprisingly takes it in stride. Kiro muses that Vern has matured, at least just a little. Oh, so this must be after the main story then.
I'm
Lyria
gonna go get this
reminisces.
report turned in.
Much thanks, Captain. Paperwork is...
Since the crew started helping Id with his job as the new Mr. Fix-It, we'd been really busy. The shop was completely flooded with requests. Those sad days when the Islanders didn't trust Id, they seemed like a lie now.
Lyria, how are you feeling today?
Id asked me that every time we met.
We're all worried about you. How's the lifelink holding up?
Right, our lifelink. Everyone thought it might have weakened when I was absorbed by Angra Mainyu. Honestly, I had been really scared back then. But now, with the weight of the sky off our shoulders, I felt better than ever. I flashed Vern and Id a smile to let them know I was okay. Talking about the lifelink brought back memories, and I realized Id still knew almost nothing about our adventures. I began by explaining Catalina's daring rescue of me and our escape from the Erste Empire. Then I described the big trees of Zinkenstill and the Imperial Hydra, and the sad reason I needed to make the lifelink with the captain. Eventually, we met Rackham and Io, Rosetta and Eugen. And before we knew it, our ship was full. It's really amazing how much our family has grown. The whole time I'd sat there, in silence, yes, but I could tell he was giving me 110% of his attention.
Since getting to Zega Grande, we've had a heck of a wild ride. But now that things have calmed down, we can get to making some good memories.
Sure.
I think I'm starting to understand Id. Sure, he has two modes, cold and colder. But if you really pay attention, you can see he has a warm enough heart. Id, the captain, the crew, you're the best friends I could ever ask for. Here's to hoping we'll be together forever.
Okay, interesting. So she's just recounting things to Id. Episode 7, No Backing Down. Kiro and the crew spend their days helping Id with his Mr. Fix-It duties. Id expresses worry for Lyria, considering all that has happened. She tells him stories about her past to assuage his concerns. No Backing Down.
After some exciting paperwork, I returned to find Lyria and Vern taking Id on a walk down memory lane.
You guys have seen some amazing things.
This was coming from someone who survived Lilith's schemes and won a mind battle with a god dragon. We'd all been through a lot.
It's all because the captain looked out for us. Yep, my butt is epic. You saw him save Lyria and this whole freaking skydom?
I turned to look at Vern, open-mouthed. Where was all this coming from?
I'm just trying to be vocal about my appreciation, remember? So yeah, take care of Lyria and keep up the good work.
I could certainly manage that. Just remembered, Sierra got us a whole bag of sweets, as thanks for all our hard work. Lyria and Vern exchanged a glance so charged, I thought the air between them was going to burst into flame.
You should have told us that first. Early dragon gets the grub.
Hey, no fair! Come on, Vern, wait!
And just like that, they were off. Foodies, right?
Captain, you got a moment?
I turned around, about to ask, you want some too? But one look at Id's knitted brow, and the question died on my lips.
Let's duel.
Did I just hear that right? Why though? Did he have something against cookies?
Sorry. It was the stories about your adventures. They put the thought into my head.
Oh, that's why... No, I still got nothing.
I want to protect Lyria, just as much as you do.
He stalked away then, and left me staring after him. I was still having trouble piecing together his train of thought, but one thing was clear. He was doing it for Lyria's sake.
Interesting. Episode 8, Pushing Forward. As Vern and Lyria continue their trip down memory lane, Id abruptly challenges Kiro to a duel. Perhaps Id wishes to test the captain's resolve to protect Lyria. Either way, Kiro is left speechless. Pushing forward.
The duel was to take place at Halewind Altar. Lots of memories there. It's where we first met Id, where I lost to him, and Lyria was taken from us.
Do you guys really have to do this?
We're friends now, right? Friends don't fight each other.
Lyria and Vern tried to talk me out of it the whole way there, but I just kept thinking of the look in Id's eye. He wasn't going to back down, and I respected that.
Captain.
Id had been staring into the distance, like a statue set to guard the altar. He turned when he heard our footsteps.
Now that we've gotten to know one another, I've come to realize something. There's no one that can keep Lyria safe better than you.
He took deliberate steps towards me. But this was nothing like the first time we met. Before, he'd been terrifying, like a hydra closing in on its prey. But now, there was something softer about the light in his eyes. You could tell he was there to help.
You're the real thing. A hero. You didn't just save Lyria, you saved the skies. And I thought, maybe if we crossed blades again, I'd learn something. Something that would help me be more like you.
Id.
I finally got it. Id and I... There was still a part of us that couldn't tear away from that fateful day at Halewind Altar. When Id had been a bad guy, and I'd been too weak to protect Lyria. But things were different now. And this fight was going to prove it. I'm not losing this time.
I'd be disappointed if you did.
I drew my sword and took the first step forward.
Come, Deeks. Give me everything you've got.
Okay, right back at you.
Please.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I thought
You will be careful.
I still had Mistral Miss equipped, so that's why I did that attack. Oh, I didn't think that would like one-shot you, man. Is he gonna transform? Oh.
Thank you, Captain.
No, thank you.
Like, my sword slash didn't seem to do very much damage to him, but then the second I did my art, it just, like, destroyed him. Yeah, just 5 seconds. I only need 5 seconds. Oh yeah, so something I learned about this game, a little tip that people have been talking about, is guarding is really OP in this game. Because at the beginning of the game, guarding doesn't feel that good because you get guard broken so easily. But near the end of the game, guarding is super OP, and I've been doing this during the last couple streams, but I didn't mention it, was if you hold the guard button and then dodge, you'll immediately guard if something hits you out of the dodge, which is really useful. So you should always hold down the guard button. You can even hold down the guard button while you're attacking, so the second something hits you, you automatically guard. The only thing about guarding is that you can't run around. You can only like slowly shuffle around when you're guarding, but you can basically negate the damage. Guarding also like reduces most damage just to 0. Like originally when I started the game, I thought guarding would just reduce the damage you get. No, it like brings most of it down to 0. It's crazy how good guard is. Pushing forward.
I won. I stood, almost doubled over with my hands on my knees, trying to remember how to breathe.
Oh, come on, Gran. You hit him in one shot. Come on.
Id staggered over and stuck a clenched hand in my face. Yeah, of course he'd go for a fist bump. I tapped his knuckles lightly with mine, and just like that, we were back to being loyal crewmates. That duel had blown away all our regrets. No more looking over our shoulders. It was time to move past, well, our past.
Just flying through this.
Yes, can I help you? Here it is.
Oops, that's not the right option. There we go. Episode 9, Understanding Yourself. The duel is intense and furious, but Kiro emerges victorious over Id. No further words are needed in the aftermath. Their clash of blades and spirit spoke volumes. You say that, but I killed him in one hit.
Hey, heard about your little spat with Id. Wish I still had that kind of energy.
Eugen gave me a hearty slap between the shoulder blades.
The chills I got when watching them. Man, they were going all out.
Of course Vern had told everybody. I could appreciate honesty and openness throughout the crew, but I clearly needed to have a talk with that dragon about minding his own business.
So you're jealous Lyria's making new friends? What, do you have a crush or something? Yo, don't be silly. That's not what this was about at all.
As Lyria tried to explain the situation, I just kind of sniffed and shuffled my feet. It had been a wild ride, but things were finally back to normal. I couldn't get the duel with Id out of my mind. He had been a perfect storm, placing his whole heart behind every blow. I had to remember what I was fighting for to even stand a chance. To be honest, I still don't think I'm stronger than him. I won this battle, yeah, but both of us are still changing, still growing. Who knows how it'll turn out if there's a next time. But I doubt we'll ever need to fight like that again. Id trusts me now. I can feel that just as much as I felt the shock of his sword clashing against mine. Trust is nice, but it always comes with responsibility. Still, that's the weight I signed up to carry when I became captain of the Grand Cipher. It took Lyria's hand all that time ago.
Epilogue, the best friends in the world. Word spreads among the crew about Id and Kiro's duel, and the crew members share a hearty laugh over the minor spat. Life returns to normal, but Kiro will never forget the weight of Id's strikes. Kiro vows to carry the responsibility that comes with being both the captain of the crew and recipient of Lyria's lifelink, no matter how heavy it may be. The best friends in the world.
We really don't get a break.
For sure. It felt like everybody in Zega Grande had a job for Mr. Fix-It. Today's request? Just taking down a monster that can demolish a small village with a sneeze. No biggie. Vern, could you get us some potions?
You betcha! Liquid health coming right up!
Lyria, we're about to head out. Mind letting the rest of the crew know?
Sure, no problem.
I took a deep breath, letting it settle in my chest before releasing. We had a game plan, of course. You never know how these things will go. Timing, coordination, everything had to be perfect.
We'll be fine. I trust you, and so does everyone else.
Id put a hand on my shoulder, and somehow that weight steadied me. We'd figure things out. We always did. I exchanged a nod with him, and we headed for the docks. The rest of the crew was already there, waving their arms in the air. From the smiles on their faces, you'd think we were going for a tropical vacation in a goose day. Well, either way, I was sure we'd all come out of it in one piece. We had a bright future ahead of us.
New archive entry. Lyria's diary entry. Okay, let's look at our new
Alright,
archive. Lyria's diary entry. Id challenged Kiro to a sword match today. It was like watching two acrobats dancing on the battlefield. All I could do was keep my worries to myself and cheer them on. They looked so serious. Could they even hear me? But you know, I think they were having fun too. I told Catalina about the duel later on. She said, "A clash of swords can impart more than words ever can." I guess Kiro and Id were bonding in their own way. I'm actually a tiny bit jealous. Maybe if I keep bugging Catalina, she'll teach me how to use a sword.
Hello there.
Okay, so I think that was fair. Again, normally Gran is a silent protagonist, so he usually doesn't get, like, character growth and much personality. So I kind of like that they went with the angle of, like, oh, let's focus on his relationships with, like, Vern and Lyria and Id. The Fate episodes themselves, not really that interesting plot-wise. And it was also kind of, like, it was, like, 2 separate arcs, like Vern's arc. Well, I mean, there was, like, the summary and then of the gacha game, and then Vern's arc, and then, like, the Id duel. So, plot-wise, it was kind of meh, but it was nice that he was mostly interacting with crewmates instead of, like, some other Fate episodes where a lot of the interaction happens with NPCs that we don't really care about, right? Or NPCs that only exist just for the Fate episodes. So, I think they did an okay job for what they had. So next up is Catalina. Oh, actually, I forgot to read out loud the description here. Kiro, on the remote island of Zinkenstill, lived a young man and his best pal Vern. As if guided by the invisible hand of fate, the young man crossed paths with Lyria, kicking off his journey through the vast sky. Over the course of various events, he assembled a diverse crew of allies from all over the Sky Realm, becoming one of the youngest Skyfaring captains to traverse the Big Blue. And then, of course, next up we have Catalina. Catalina. Though Catalina was once a devoted knight of the Erste Empire, her duty now lies solely with protecting Lyria, with whom she escaped the Empire's grasp. As Lyria's oldest friend, the two of them are as inseparable as family. Dependable for her combat skills though she may be, she exhibits a surprisingly poor sense of direction and leaves much to be desired in the culinary arts. Oh yeah, and also, of course, if you do the Grand Fate episodes as Jita, then the pictures and the narration would also change, so it's kind of nice that they did voice lines for both of them. Prologue, Lyria's Guardian.
You think you know the sky and wind, but then you come to a foreign land, where unfamiliar songs on the air beckon you toward the unknown.
Catalina, where do you think this breeze is coming from?
The wind rustled Lyria's hair affectionately as she spoke. From somewhere far, far away. Much time has passed since Lyria and I escaped from the Erste Empire and met the captain in the woods of Zinkenstill. I found myself thankful that the sky has no limit, because no matter how many journeys I've made at her side, there will always be more to look forward to.
That's it, that was like the shortest prologue so far. Episode 1, A Vow Witnessed by the Skies. Looking out over Zega Grande's sunny skies, Catalina recalls how she helped Lyria escape from the Erste Empire, met Kiro in Zinkenstill, and embarked on adventures she never could have imagined. She vows to always remain by Lyria's side. Vow Witnessed by the Skies.
Lyria and I first crossed paths when I was still a knight of Erste, and she a tool in the Empire's mad experiments on dark essence. So you're Lyria. I was appointed to stay by her side as both captor and guardian. She reminded me of a beautifully crafted puppet, never moving or speaking unless commanded. Her expression was fixed, and her eyes were bright, but cold, as if made of glass. Moved to pity, I wanted at the very least to light a smile on her face.
Hey Kieran, yeah, you just started Relink, didn't you? That's awesome. You can change the difficulty whenever you want, so don't worry about it. And once you... The difficulty only affects the main story. Once you get past that, all the co-op quests are set difficulties, so you can't even change them at that point. But the main story you can toggle however you please.
But I may as well have been talking to a doll. I couldn't find the part of her that was alive.
And hope you have fun.
It wasn't until many days had escaped us that I realized Lyria was a real girl with a feeling soul. She simply didn't know how to act like one. So, I taught her to laugh when she felt joy, and cry when she felt sadness. Through books and reverie, I taught her to long for the outside world, and when colors on a page were no longer enough, I took her hand and led her to the roof of the military base. The illustrations Lyria had seen were lovely, but the sky now stretching above her was boundless and so luminous that it drew forth tears. And finally, Finally, her blue eyes shone, as if they were two patches of sky lit by a sun from within her. That sun melted my heart. There, with the open air as our witness, I made her a promise. Someday, we'll sail this endless world together. I swear it.
Episode 2, A World You Will Come to Know. When Catalina first met Lyria, the stoic girl could be better described as a living doll. However, Catalina comes to realize that Lyria doesn't know how to express her feelings. The knight begins teaching the girl many things, and promises to someday show her the outside world. World You Will Come to Know.
As the bond between us grew, so did the cruelty of the experiments they performed on Lyria. Lyria doesn't belong here. No living creature does. The shining empire I served now became to me a place clouded by doubt. Day after day, a battle raged within me, between the knight loyal to her flag and the guardian who wanted to set a sad girl free. Then, one day, a memory of Lyria's response on the roof broke through like a clear ray of light.
Really? You'll show me this endless world?
I had made a vow. There was no more question where my allegiance lay. I took her hand once again. This time, not to simply gaze at the sky, but to leap into it. And I did it for myself, as much as I did it for her.
Hey Aru, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming by. It's good to see you. The experimentation on Lyria grows crueler by the day, further fueling Catalina's distrust of the Empire. Caught between her knightly oath to Earthstay and the promise she made to Lyria, she decides to take Lyria and flee from the Empire. Rebuilding for the future.
Sometime after the commotion at Tempil, life in Folca began to struggle towards normalcy. The breeze was soft and welcoming. I'd been blind to the city's charms before, focused as I was on rescuing Lyria from the Church of Avia. The sun watched over the victims of Furikin's rage as they raised new homes for themselves from the rubble. But once scars have set in, they are slow to fade. Here and there, the children of Tempil labored with tools too large for their hands. I offered my aid, but the children said their work was their responsibility.
As long as you're sure you'll be okay.
Some distance away, a small boy burst into a red-faced fit. Lyria and I rushed over, hoping to be of help.
Oh, that just ends before we even... Okay. Episode 4. Family is Everything. Tempil is rebuilding in the aftermath of the destruction that befell its land. Even children who could barely hold their tools have volunteered to help rebuild their home. Catalina offers to lend a hand, but the children insist on doing things themselves.
Don't try and stop me! I have to do this!
He hurled his words like stones as he whipped into a run. Concerned, I asked a nearby man about the boy. He explained that the boy's sister was ill, and the lad was after the remedy, an herb called windcrest. The sickness was assumed to have died out hundreds of years ago, but had now returned to torment the child.
And if that's not enough, I heard the woods where windcrest grows have turned into a monster den.
The boy had struck out alone. Folca had no soldiers to spare, for they were all dispatched to Tempil for the reconstruction effort. No one was left to answer his pleas, but I would. In my heart, I vowed to bring back the child, and if possible, the herb too. I prayed only that I wasn't too late.
Yeah, I like Catalina. I like the cool female knight types. I think she does a good job of doing that. I actually haven't played as her yet, so they'll probably give me the tutorial too.
Leave the front line to me.
I mean, other than when we did the demo. Controlling Catalina, a former knight of the Erste Empire, Catalina fights to protect Lyria. Wielding a magic sword, she's an adept warrior who adapts to any situation. Catalina creates various combos by using X and Y. Repeatedly press Y to unleash a sweeping slash attack. Pulling off combos fills the Ares gauge. Once the gauge is full, Catalina can summon Primal Beast Ares to bolster her combos, skills, and skybound art. So even though all her attacks and stuff in both verses and this game work with the Primal Beast Ares, they don't really explain Ares. Ares is a Primal Beast that she has like a partnership with that she gets in the main story of the gacha game. And it does not happen very early in the main story. It happens quite a while later. In fact, around the time that Granblue Versus first came out, the first Versus, not Versus Rising, is around the time that Ares was introduced into the main story to kind of coincide, I think, with that. I think we actually saw demo footage of Catalina using Ares in Versus before it came out, even before Ares was shown in the gacha game, if I remember the timeline correctly.
Well, according to that old villager, this is the place we want to be.
Perfect. Keep your eyes peeled for Windcrest.
There's got a lot of glossary entries there.
No more.
Earth spirits. Strange. We didn't
He hit me before I hit him.
Seems like they're attracted to the wind.
Great, I like being sand-tombed.
Let's finish them.
I can't even hit these things before they hit me.
One fell blow. Enchanted land.
Oh, there it is. I was looking for the red dot before I started fighting. Putting clarity on Gran was very useful as an NPC ally. Alright, I have Azure Sword as well. Oh, I think that's a buff though.
Yeah, that should be more than enough.
But we still haven't located the boy. What? Where is that coming from?
I don't know, but it can't be a good sign.
I mean, that boy must have run past a lot of Windcrests or didn't know what it looked like, because we picked up so much on the way to rescuing him. The unfortunate thing about Catalina is that she's got a cool design. I really like it. Problem is, because if you're playing as her in a game like this, you mostly just see her back, and her back does not have that interesting of a design. It'd be cool if she had like a crest or something on the back of her cape or whatnot. But again, I mean, in the mobile game, they're all like turn-based sprite animations, so you don't often see characters' backs either, so most of them aren't really designed specifically to have cool backs, because that's what you do when you're doing a third-person action game, not a mobile gacha game or a fighting game necessarily.
What was up with that thudding earlier? Maybe we should check it out.
A golem. So that's what was behind the tremors.
Crap, it spotted us. Get ready for a fight.
There's my Ares gauge.
I heard Puritan's voice just now. I think that when Puritan covered this archipelago in storm, some of its power fused with the land and the monk.
Me, can I get some of that Puritan?
Finish him off.
This golem is tough.
can't afford to let it run free. Not while that boy remains missing.
You're finished! Victory favors us!
Is it safe now? I recognize that voice.
Hey, Risuke, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping in today.
With a final death knell, the golem stilled. The boy crawled out from the tall grass, and I pressed the wind crest into his trembling hand.
Oh, thanks for the bits, Risuke. I really appreciate it. Well, thank you. Hope you're having an amazing week.
Wow, now I can save my sister. You're the best, lady.
He smiled at me, and with a great burden lifted from his shoulders, skipped the whole way back to Folka. As I watched his happy shuffle, I wished more joy and color into his life of toil, which had been covered by the dust of destruction.
Yay, sigil slots.
Hello there.
Episode 5, A Young Boy's Letter. When Catalina hears a young boy named Al, well, when did I ever learn his name was Al? I guess here it is. To dash into the forest alone, she gives swift pursuit. She arrives just as a rock golem stalks towards the child. After felling the creature, she hands the boy Windcrest, the herb he needs to cure his sister of her illness. A Young Boy's Letter.
We made medicine from the Windcrest you picked. The doctor said Hazel looks better every day.
It's cute that his writing has spelling mistakes because he's a little boy.
This morning, she was able to get out of bed and do some drawing. She loves drawing pictures. Thanks again, Catalina. From Al.
And Hazel.
P.S. Please visit Folka when you have a chance.
Oh, that's cute. Wait, that's it? That's an entire Fate episode? Okay. Okay. Maybe this... Catalina's feels like it's going way shorter than the other ones we've done. Episode 6, A Young Boy's Determination. Catalina receives a letter from Al. Thanks to the herbs, his little sister Hazel is recovered from her illness. The letter concludes by encouraging Catalina to visit them in Folka whenever she can.
Another letter from Al arrived. Hazel had fully recovered and was bouncing about with unbridled energy. Al had returned to work on the reconstruction site and was working twice as hard to make up for lost time.
This kid is working so hard.
Is it just me, or is his writing messier?
It wasn't just Vern. Not only were there more missing words and misspellings than usual, the lines of Al's letters were harsh and tangled. Evidently, he'd scrawled them in a great hurry between jobs.
I got a bad feeling that next up, it's gonna be Al himself stuck in bed.
I shared Vern's sentiment. This was a boy willing to pick herbs from death's very garden for his sister. There was not an ounce of self-restraint in his character. I could only hope that he would emerge from this trial unscathed.
Again, these are really short episodes compared to the other characters that we've seen. Episode 7, A Cry for Help. Another letter from Al arrives. He writes that Hazel has made a full recovery and he's working hard on the reconstruction effort to make up for lost time. However, judging from the even sloppier handwriting and greater number of mistakes, Catalina worries that Al's pushing himself too hard. I mean, that is a lot of assumptions to make from the letter, but I guess it makes sense in this case.
Reading Al's third letter made my head buzz and my hands go numb.
Help! Hazel got sick again. Doctor says you don't know what's happened. The medicine we made don't work no more. What do we do?
It struck me that I, a Skyfarer they had only met once, was all the help these children had left to turn to.
Catalina, I'm worried about Hazel.
Lyria, who had been reading over my shoulder, looked as pale as death, and I thought I heard the fierce thudding of her heart. Let's head back to Folka, quickly. We learned not long afterwards that the captain, who at times seemed to command a sixth sense, had already asked Rackham to set course for the city. Al, Hazel, don't lose hope. Help is on the way.
Episode 8, Wraithwing Eggs. A third letter from Al makes Catalina's blood run cold. Hazel has fallen ill again, and the medicinal herbs aren't working anymore. The crew hurry back to Folka to check on the two.
When we arrived at Folka, Al came out to greet us. I noticed he wouldn't meet any of our eyes and ducked his head like he was hiding from the world. The doctor had examined Hazel from head to toe, but as far as his eyes could tell, there was nothing wrong with her.
Hazel says all she needs to get better is some Wraithwing eggs, but I just don't know.
Al's voice was so small, I could hear the distance between us. Not physical, but emotional. He explained reluctantly that the Wraithwing was a bird which lives among the ancient ruins of Dolly Island.
Actually, forget it. We've made you guys do too much already. We'll figure something out.
His smile didn't quite reach his eyes, which were enclosed in dark circles. The reconstruction effort must have been hounding him, and he was apparently not its only victim. Hazel had fallen ill around when Al began overexerting himself. I think I see what's going on here. Gently pushing aside Al's objections, we left to search for a Wraithwing nest. The task ahead, though dangerous, was for brother as much as it was for sister. Leave the front line to me. This area seems promising. Be on the lookout for tracks.
Okay. Oh, well, okay. That was quick.
This is quite a rare find. We'd better add it to our provisions. It may come in useful later.
Desert oil. I'll just keep walking to all the wagons, I guess.
This cargo's sure been roughed up.
Large talon marks and scattered feathers. The culprit is probably a Wraithwing.
Let's see if it's left any other tracks. Look! More feathers! I think we're getting warmer!
Catalina! Catalina, over there!
That's it. It matches the description perfectly. That's our Wraithwing.
Ah! What's with all the party crashers?
Stay calm. I'll get us out of this.
Don't move! Take him
Is that all of them? Yep. Oh. You okay there, Rackham?
Nice! Now come on! We've got a bird to catch! These stupid monsters don't quit! You ready, Cat?
Always. I'll freeze them in their tracks.
You're mine!
One fell blow! Cut them down!
I didn't mean to summon Ares. Well, I guess I have Ares now. I was gonna save it for the Griffin, but... Hurry, Catalina. Before Ares leaves. Actually, the gauge isn't running down. Maybe it only gets consumed when I use it.
Look! The bird! It's watching us really closely.
Whoa! Looks like it's got giant talons and a nasty temper! Be careful, Catalina!
It's all right, Vern. I won't let that overgrown turkey hurt us. Let's go.
I think
There's nothing to fear.
attacking something.
Of course. It's trying to defend its nest. No wonder it's so desperate.
But we're desperate too. Hazel and Al are counting on us.
Get down here, you coward.
Don't get moved in.
You're finished!
All right, take that, you big chicken.
Now we just need to search the nest and collect the eggs. I can't help feeling guilty, though.
We're so sorry, Miss Wraithwing. We promise we won't take more than we need.
Well, did we kill the griffin too, or did we just subdue it and then take its eggs?
Be proud of yourselves.
Either way, that's kind of sad, but...
I took our prize to the dining hall. But weighing on me was the thought that Hazel had likely told Al a white lie. It said that one bite of a Wraithwing egg sends waves of energy coursing through your body. I guess that she wanted the meal not for herself, but for her exhausted brother.
I'm so sorry.
My suspicions were confirmed when I returned from the canteen to find Hazel apologizing to the crew.
Catalina, we need to tell you something.
I cut Al off. I knew speaking the words would hurt him. It was better that he didn't give sound and substance to unnecessary guilt. I don't know what's troubling you, but you have to eat. It's the only way the two of you will get better. Food and comfort. That was all I could afford them.
Hello there.
Why did I get a glossary entry for the desert oil? Like, that didn't play any role in the actual Fate episode. Episode 9. Omelet of Happiness. That's cute. The crew returns to Folka with the Wraithwing eggs Hazel said could heal her. It turns out Hazel had told a white lie. She wants Al, who's been overexerting himself, to eat the eggs and recover his health. Catalina, having already guessed Hazel's intentions, ushers the children to a dining hall. Omelet of Happiness.
Back at the dining hall, plates of Wraithwing egg omelet were lined up on a table, wafting forth irresistible aroma.
Is that really for us?
At my nod, Al dug in.
Ow! Oh, burnt my tongue. But, so good.
I love it!
Muffled voices caught my attention, and I looked out the window to see a gathering crowd. Though I had only collected a basket of the famed eggs, it seemed that was enough to feed the whole city.
Dang, you feed a whole city with just a basket of eggs?
Hey Al, heard from your sister. Sorry, I should have noticed you were working yourself to the bone.
A man who seemed to be in charge of reconstruction efforts came to our table. Gently, he explained that he had only now been made aware of Al's failing health. He vowed to encourage the workers to rest, so no one would overexert themselves ever again.
Al, you okay, bud? You don't look so good.
Vern, who had been flitting carefree through the air, came to a sudden stop. I smiled at his concern, which was well-meaning but misplaced. Al was going to be fine now. It was time for a celebration, and I had the perfect surprise planned. Their reactions are going to be priceless.
Epilogue. Dessert of Legends. Hazel and Al stuff their faces with omelets made from the Wraithwing eggs. There's enough for all of Folka. Catalina happily watches everyone fill their stomachs with delicious energy-restoring food. Oh right, she's bad at cooking.
A light dessert is the perfect way to top off a hearty meal. Stealing my way into the kitchen, I cooked up an original dish using spare ingredients and imagination. When I unveiled my creation, the crew gulped in what I assume was anticipation. The people of Folka, however, were more vocal with their excitement.
You're saying that the very hand that defeated the Wraithwing made this dessert?
Is there anything she can't do?
It was enough to make me blush. But, if I may be so bold, I don't think their praise was unearned. My dish was wholly unique in its shape, color, and smell.
Catalina, this is amazing! I've never tasted anything like it before.
Alright, Lyria eats anything.
Encouraged by Lyria, every last diner snatched up their spoons. Hungrily, they lifted a bite to their lips. And the moment right after, as if someone had captured the scene in a painting, they all froze. There are times when people are so filled to the brim with emotion, not even the smallest physical movement is possible. For the diners, this was apparently one of those times.
Because it's interesting, because usually whenever Catalina does her cooking, which is bad cooking, in the gacha game, it's all done through dialogue and very short bursts of third-person narration. So the fact that this is being narrated in first person means they have to find a way of describing everyone's reaction to the food in a way that makes sense to show us that it wasn't good, but also show Catalina being, you know, thinking that it is good. So it is kind of weird to hear it from her perspective.
It seems I'm not such a bad chef after all. Take that, naysayers.
Would have been funnier if they like censored the food with like a blur effect or something. Legendary food review. That was really quick compared to other Fate episodes, which is good because, again, the Fate episodes aren't super engaging. And I apologize if the stream isn't as interactive as a result. Legendary food review. The truth must be told. I was given the honor of tasting a dessert made by the knight who took down a Wraithwing. I remember taking a bite and then my world became fuzzy. At first I thought I'd lost my sense of taste until a tidal wave of flavor overloaded my tongue and a sandy texture began to expand in my mouth. It was like experiencing a new dimension of gastronomic proportion, and I knew that was it. My tongue had died and gone to the Estelucia flavor, or maybe basic food safety was ignored. Who's to say? They talk about Dark Essence, which is a thing from the mobile game. Windcrest, the Withering. Oh, this is the name of the sickness that Hazel had. Wraithwing eggs, desert oil. Though extremely rare, desert oil is utterly useless. No one in possession of all 5 of their senses would ever think of using it as a food ingredient. Oh, she put this in her food. Okay, that's an interesting way to convey that. Okay. Hey Zysky, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today.
View the requests?
Oh, so I also should be rating these Fate episodes, because I did that last time I did Fate episodes. So Gran's Fate episode, I think, is like I'd give it maybe like a 6 out of 10. It wasn't super engaging, but again, we got to see a lot of interaction between different crewmates, Ern, Lyria, Gran, Id, so that makes it more interesting than interacting with NPCs, unplayable, like non-player characters. So he gets a 6 out of 10. Catalina's, I'd say, is maybe a 5.5 out of 10. I was gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because it was kind of bland, kind of boring, nothing really happened. But the fact that it was short meant that it didn't drag on. Like some of the other Fate episodes kind of felt like they dragged on. But I bumped up to a 5.5 because at the end we did see her cooking prowess, which does, you know, one of the points of the Fate episodes, I think, is to teach us about the character. And if we don't actually learn anything about the character, you don't really get much out of it. But at least at the end we kind of saw that trait of hers, which you wouldn't otherwise find out about just playing the game. So, and again, the fact that it was short meant that even though it was kind of boring, it went by quickly. So, you know, I'd rather take boring and short than boring and long, you know? I think it was fair. Not saying it's bad. Rackham. A seasoned helmsman who pilots the Grand Cipher. He knows his way around practically any airship and is renowned the skies over for his skills at the wheel. Though blunt, Rackham is remarkably caring and enjoys looking after others. I wonder if the Fate episodes for all the main crewmates, Catalina, Rackham, Io, Eugen, Rosetta, maybe they're short on purpose because they do get a lot of spotlight time during the main story, and that's why like the other Fate episodes, like for the Dragon Knights, were longer because you don't actually see them during the main story. I don't know if that might be a trend. I guess we'll find out. Prologue, Blue Skies Ahoy.
Piloting an airship ain't easy work, but whether it's plotting a windward course or conducting some routine maintenance, you can always count on experience and intuition. Ha! Just a little further! Finally, the Grand Cipher broke through the nebulous shadows and turbulent winds of the Grim Basin, and to greet us on the other end was our reward, a brilliant clear blue. It was a panoramic azure, dappled by silver-white clouds and gleaming from the light of a new day. Always an exhilarating sight to behold. Judging by the cries of celebration starting to spread across the deck, I took it my crewmates would agree. Damn, who'd have ever thought a young dreamer from Port Breeze would make it all the way out to these skies? The Grand Cipher and I, we'd gone through thick and thin together. It's a long story, but it all started on that fateful day I met the captain. I haven't looked back since. Right then, landing maintenance. Fuel stores, full. Engine, all clear. We were ready to disembark into the unknown. What awaited us in the Zega Grande Skydom? As uneasy as I was, I couldn't help but feel a teensy bit giddy with excitement.
Episode 1, Fantasy versus Reality. Rackham pilots the Grand Cipher out of the stormy Grim Basin and into the blue skies of Zega Grande. Cheers erupt from the deck, heralding excitement for new adventures. They can't wait to make landfall. Fantasy versus Reality.
Ah, the Grand Cipher. Ever since I found her abandoned behind a cliff, it was love at first sight. I was just a kid, but I had lofty dreams of repairing that ramshackle airship and taking her to the skies. Back then, I didn't know the difference between a porthole and port side, but I was determined. I dove into books bigger than my head, and I learned basic airship repair, helmsmanship, the whole kit and caboodle. After a ton of elbow grease, the day had come. The Grand Cipher was finally ready for a test flight. I still remember how my hands trembled as I grabbed the rudder. And wouldn't you know it, she actually lifted off the ground for me. Nothing quite like watching your first love take to the skies, is there? But before I could take it all in, my dreams came crashing down. I mean literally. The Grand Cipher sunk like a damn meteor. 100 different things could have caused it, but that didn't matter. Years of work went kaput in the blink of an eye. Betrayed by the very skies I longed for. I was crushed. Looking back now, it sounds stupid, I know, but it really felt like I had nothing to live for. I put all my hopes into that hunk of scrap. Laugh if you want, but some pits are too deep to crawl out of, especially when you look up for freedom and all you see is the expansive crystal blue of your tormentor. Don't worry, my pity party wouldn't last for too much longer. You see, my dreams had crashed like a meteor.
But ironically enough, it was the meteoric rise of the Erste Empire that would bring the captain into my life. Salvation was on the horizon.
Episode 2, Back at the Wheel. Many years ago, young Rackham found the Grand Cipher abandoned near some cliffs. He fell in love with the neglected airship and spent years fixing her up. When he finally got her into the air, she crashed, taking his dreams down with her. After that mishap, he became disillusioned and quit flying altogether. His hand looks so big compared to Grand's ear.
Just as I'd given up on flying, the Erste Empire had arrived in Port Breeze, and they were hell-bent on exploiting our local protector, the primal beast of wind, Tiamat.
Their twisted machinations caused her to go on a rampage. Port Breeze was in peril. Fortunately, we had an ace up our sleeve. Lyria. Thing is, Lyria needed to get close to Tiamat, which meant we had to go up. And to go up, we needed to fly. Thought I'd already closed that chapter of my life when the skies betrayed me, but lives were on the line.
Quick, get on the Grand Cipher!
I don't know what got into me. She fell once before. Hell, I knew she might fall again. Nothing like a healthy fear of death to keep you grounded, eh? But the people of Port Breeze, and my new crewmates, had entrusted their fates to my piloting skills. My own fear was insignificant. All I needed to do was trust myself too. It's a damn shame it took me this long. But I'm back now, and ready to face the skies if you'll have me. As the Grand Cipher's engine purred to life, I knew I would no longer be encumbered by fear. I gripped the mast with pride as I set our course directly above to the rampaging Tiamat. Lyria quelled the primal beast, and catastrophe had been averted. Not to mention, I could finally dream again. Ever since that day, I've been the helmsman for the Grand Cipher and its crew. It's been one hell of a ride. I've since formed a pact with good old Tiamat and made amends with the shipwright Primal who built the Grand Cipher, Noah.
Me and Euro were actually talking about how Noah would be a pretty fun character to have in this game, because I was talking with another friend about he really liked playing Io, but he wished that there was like a male caster character, and I was like, well, who could we have as a male caster from the gacha game? And I could only really think of characters that people weren't really interested in playing at first, like Sarunan and Marquieres. But then we thought, like, maybe, I think Elmont would be pretty fun, and then Noah would also be a pretty good pick.
So, Zega Grande Skydom might be uncharted territory, but my role remains the same. See our crew arrive safely, no matter the destination. And that includes Estalucia. Some folks might call reaching the end of the skies an impossible dream, but I ain't too worried. With the Grand Cipher as our wings, anything's possible.
I liked Elmont, because when I first started the game, of course, there weren't very many characters in the game, so a lot of the SR characters were characters that you had to use or want to get. I think I got Summer Elmont before I got regular Elmont, and I used him for a while during my short stint as a fire main at the beginning when I only had fire characters. Tiamat, the primal beast of Port Breeze, goes berserk, endangering everyone in Rackham's hometown. In the face of a dire situation, Rackham overcomes his past trauma and pilots the Grand Cipher again. After helping Kiro's crew calm Tiamat's fury, he joins them as their helmsman. Also, I don't think they're going to do this, but I think it'd be hilarious if they picked a really out-of-pocket character to put in this game, like Tsubasa. Just randomly put a guy with a pompadour and a motorcycle in this game. No explanation to anyone who hasn't played the gacha game, and just throw him in there and people be like, what the? Okay, I guess this is happening. Or like Robo-Me. It's just like, it'd be so funny. Them's the breaks, kid.
Call it a side effect of being a helmsman, but my ears tend to laser in on any talk of airships. Then again, damn near anybody could have heard this guy shouting.
No! No! You can't do this! She's still skyworthy! She can still fly!
The distraught man was making a scene outside. 3 seemingly unfazed onlookers surrounded him. Between all the belly aching, I pieced together the man's story. He was an engineer, was upset that an airship called the Nautilus was set to be decommissioned. His 3 friends, meanwhile, were telling him to see reason, that an old ship like that would be more useful as scrap. Reminded me of the Port Breeze days, back when my own dreams seemed like unscalable walls. The 3 onlookers were a young helmsman, a young mechanic, and an older merchant. They presented a unified front against the engineer, countering each of his arguments threefold whenever he opened his mouth to protest. As much as I wanted to help the guy, the trio were speaking the truth. Repairing the damn thing would cost buckets of rupees, and you can't fix an airship on gumption alone. Trust me, I've tried. Them's the breaks, kid.
I turned to leave. None of my business, right? But dumb old me, I had to pause as my ears caught what he said next.
We made a pact, didn't we? Don't you remember? The Nautilus. You promised that we would take her to the skies.
He could barely hold it together. You could hear it in his voice, the desperation as he clung to a quickly fading dream. It was a feeling all too familiar to me.
Episode 4, Down But Not Out. A heated argument between several people reaches Rackham's ears. A young engineer wants to save an airship called the Nautilus from being scrapped despite his friend's calls for him to let her go. Rackham is sympathetic to the engineer but feels the ship is a lost cause. As Rackham turns to leave, the engineer mutters something that stops him in his tracks. So I haven't played as Rackham. I did set some skills, but actually I wanna try something. Just because this fight's gonna be a fast one, because it's the easier one. I just want to try this, so I just want to see how funny this is. Okay, you have to have played Granblue to really understand this. I talked about this when I was playing with Euro, but I'll explain it here. Rackham has this move in the mobile game called Duration, and it is, and of course Rackham is one of the first characters you get in the story. Duration is widely considered one of the most useless skills in the game. It doesn't really do much. It cuts the enemy's like overdrive bar, but not very much, and you do that just by attacking anyways. So it became a bit of a meme, and the icon for Duration is kind of similar to the icon you see here. That you can see it in the purple diamond shape. It looks like a guy that's kind of like falling over or sliding or skidding or something like that. So it became a meme that Duration was useless, and then in the Granblue's 4 comics, it becomes Rackham's like signature thing. So people called it Duray for short, and then people made little, or the game made little like stickers of Rackham in this Duration pose. So in this game, they brought back Duration, but now it's like a continuous dodge. It looks so funny. Like, look at the animation for it. Like, it just looks so funny. I want to try it out just to see what it looks like. And then the other move I want to show you, and we showed this off on the stream with Euro as well, is collateral damage. So one of Rackham's gimmicks in the 4 comics is that he always blows himself up. And again, the 4 comics are like non-canon, funny little comic strips, and he always blows himself up, and everyone always shouts like Rackham when he blows himself up. And then when they made his Christmas alt version, he has a move that blows himself up and brings him down to 1 HP, and usually Vern or Lyria or someone would say Rackham when he does it. So in this game, he has this move, collateral damage, where he can get caught in his own explosion, and then your party members will shout his name, which we saw on the stream with Euro, and it's so funny. Yeah, I like how his kit is just these ongoing jokes. I need to try this. I need to try this. Down, but not out.
I mean, sure, the Nautilus may be old, but she's got plenty of potential. She could easily outpace any other cargo ship in the fleet. At least 3 times faster!
Found the poor bastard blathering his woes at a tavern in Folca. The seat next to his happened to be conveniently open, so I took it. Without so much as asking my name, he launched into story after story. It was clear he still needed to vent. Apparently, he just recently started his career as an engineer. Planned on restoring the Nautilus. It would revitalize the local economy, help Folca this, assist Timpil that. He went on and on. But I knew he wasn't going to feel better until he confronted the actual issue at hand. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great you want to help your home like this, but that's not the real reason you're upset, is it?
That obvious, huh? I, made a promise to my friends. One day we'd fly our beloved Nautilus across the skies together.
But the ship in question was long past its heyday and had deteriorated beyond the point of conventional repair. Time is a cruel but patient mistress, and among the original Nautilites, only Kent had yet to accept reality. After he finished his explanation, silence fell between us. Well, until another man frantically stumbled into the tavern. I'd seen him somewhere before. Oh yeah, one of the naysayers from earlier, the merchant.
Somebody help! Anybody! Monsters are ransacking my precious cargo!
I was torn. Do my civil duty as a Skyfarer and save the cargo, or help this ass determined to crush the dreams of my newfound friend. So, I asked Kent.
What? Of course you should help him.
Not a moment's hesitation from the kid. I liked that. This would have been the perfect moment to ensure the continued survival of the Nautilus, at least in the short term. But despite that, Kent didn't think twice about helping his fellow man. Hell yeah, Kent. I'll see what I can do.
Damn. Can't we take some R&R instead?
Patrolling Rackham. Rackham is a man of the skies tasked with helming the Grand Cipher. His 2 guns allow him to cover allies at both long and close range. Press X to fire once, or hold to fire a 3-shot burst. This Y attack is chargeable, which increases its range and damage. Skills and X attacks fill the heat gauge. This Y attack charges faster the higher the heat gauge.
According to the merchant, our destination should be around here. I just hope there's anything left to save. Let's get moving.
Oh, Noah got added to the glossary. Okay, I need to try out his moves just for fun.
Roll with the punches.
Oh, dang it, I wish it lasted longer. That was so funny.
Here comes the big one. Got it. Could have gone better.
They sound so distressed, but at the same time, you kind of hear like the hint of like, oh, he's gone and done it again. Like, this is not the first time. Oh, that's so funny. I want to try it with like all the different party members eventually.
Come on. Go time. Go time.
Okay, we're off.
Duration.
Goblins? What the hell are they doing here?
Come on.
Can I do mid-air?
Eat this.
Oh, I can. That's neat.
Hot enough for you?
I'll say we didn't warn you.
It's nice being ranged in this game, though, I will say.
Say so myself. Now then, where were we?
Hey, ugly! Over here!
Who are you speaking to, Rackham?
That must be the cargo we're looking for. Cargo's safe and sound. Maybe. Looks like it's been rummaged through.
Watch out, Rackham! We've got goblins and vipers on our trail!
It'll take more than that to dupe us.
No, I wanna... Guys, don't kill him yet. I need to do
Just
this.
Don't let him get close to the cargo.
EO, fine.
Nothing survives this! Bullseye!
There's still more of them! Stay sharp, everybody!
Could have gone better.
Darn it, they were all talking too much. I couldn't hear their screams enough.
Come on! Bring it! Is that all?
Sorry, Gran, I was trying to shoot you. I thought you were a goblin.
Don't let up! Right in the eye!
I can finally hit the flying enemies.
Roll with the punches. Take him out!
Look at me chuckle him in midair.
So the big shot finally decided to show up, huh?
Well, you're going down like the rest of them.
Rackham!
You monsters screwed up big time today, because you chose to mess with the best crew to ever cross these skies.
Ha! Not too bad. Not too bad.
Oh, you're a lifesaver. How could I ever thank you?
You want to thank someone? Thank him. I gestured toward Kent. The man's face filled with shame as the irony dawned on him.
So it was you, huh? Hey, listen. I'm sorry about earlier. I could have heard you out.
After the merchant left, I wanted to focus on the next goal at hand. Putting some wind back in the Nautilus's sails. So I proceeded to do some intelligent and, dare I say, brilliant thinking on the topic when Kent asked what I was talking about. Whoops, must have been thinking out loud again. You just wait and see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Twain as well. I'm surprised they didn't have an archer in this game, in the base game. Again, like, Matera was originally supposed to be in this game. But that's a good point, because Twain also flies or floats in the air when she shoots her arrow, so that might be fun. That might offer some interesting gameplay. Rackham rescues a merchant's cargo from monsters at the request of Kent the engineer. The merchant thanks Rackham and apologizes to Kent for being so dismissive of the engineer's goal to restore the Nautilus. Rackham thinks to himself it's time to put some wind back in the Nautilus's sails. Worth the trouble.
How many times do I gotta say it? Getting parts to fix the Nautilus out here in the boonies is next to impossible.
I've never been good with women. My words never come out quite the way I mean for them to. I thought maybe Miss Mechanic would be on board, but I probably shouldn't be doing this behind Kent's back anyway.
I'm telling you, I've tried everything. Sure, I'd love to see her fly again, but it's time to... get real. Right?
Hey, come on. That was against the rules. How was I supposed to keep a stern attitude against that blubbering mess? When I finally got a word in edgewise, I let her know I already had the parts she needed. Picked them up here and there, across Fanta Grande and Nala Grande. Here, this what you need? I'll cut you a deal.
Wait, how? Where in the skies did you find these?
Caught up in her excitement, she leapt at me. Whoa, not so close, Missy. Of course, she paid me no regard. It was the parts she had her eyes on.
Some modifications here and there, I could... Yeah. I can't believe it. The dream is alive.
Yep, the dream was alive. She didn't have to say it. The look on her face was enough. All that hubbub from earlier was nowhere to be found. After forking over the payment, she happily took the spare parts off my hands. She also made sure to plant a big fat kiss on my cheek before scurrying off. Sheesh, at least warn a guy beforehand, right? Women, I swear. In any case, the winds were starting to blow back in their favor.
Episode 6, The Dream Lives On. Rackham asks Kent's mechanic friend to fix the Nautilus. She insists that without rare parts, the ship will never fly again, regardless of her wishes. When Rackham finally gets a word in edgewise, he reveals he's already collected those parts and hands them to the astonished mechanic. The dream lives on.
Rackham, there you are. I've got huge news. Listen to this.
It was clear from Kent's smile that the repairs on the Nautilus were going smoothly, thanks to a mechanic friend of his. Well, ain't that something? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't impressed. Those parts weren't the easiest to work with. Not bad, Miss Mechanic.
Rackham, sir? My friend told me she got the parts from a traveling skyfarer. Had 3-day-old scruff and a little swagger to him. You wouldn't know anything about them, would you?
3-day-old scruff. Hey, Sour Sweets! Welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. Let me write you a shout out, if it'll let me. Please go visit our friend Sour Sweets, an amazing VTuber. Thank you so much for coming by. What were you guys doing today? Did you have a good time? What were you playing? Hey Kite, welcome in. Taras, it's good to see you. Love, welcome, welcome. Fallen Fury, hello. Did you have a good time today? Thank you so much for entrusting me with your audience. Hope you've been doing well. I'm Kiro, the frog-themed martial artist. We're playing Granblue Fantasy Relink. I finished the game and all the quests the other day. Now we're just doing the Fate episodes, which are little visual novel story vignettes about the characters. So we're listening in, and then there's a little bit of gameplay here and there. So I hope you're having a great time. Feel free to sit back and relax with us, or go take care of yourself after your stream. I really appreciate you all being here. Hey Blaze, welcome in. You did a CPU tournament for Super Smash Bros. That sounds like fun, and then some chatting. Oh, that sounds like a great time. Hope you guys all had a great time with Sour Sweets, and again, make sure to go check out Sour Sweets when you get a chance. Thank you, thank you. We are currently doing Rackham's Fate episodes, and he's the pilot of the crew here.
Huh. Well, I keep my scruff in an elegant chin strap. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for calling Kirby. Hey, Kirby. Keep me company during this Fate episode?
Not sure I sounded very convincing, trying to play off his answer, but I'm a helmsman, not an actor. Ha, but just another performance or two, and the Nautilus would be skybound once more.
Oh, that's it? That was so short. Maybe I'm correct about my hypothesis about the length of the main crew's Fate episodes compared to the others. Episode 7, Clipped Wings. Repairs to the Nautilus are proceeding smoothly. The next time Kent sees Rackham, he excitedly relays how his mechanic friend got a second wind after receiving rare parts from a generous Skyfarer. Rackham acts clueless, but deep down he wishes for Kent's dream to come true. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Sour Sweets. Have a good lurk. Thank you, thank you. Clipped Wings.
The Nautilus is skyworthy?
I wasn't sure which was greater, the helmsman's confusion or Kent's enthusiasm.
Yep. We've got one last bit of patching up to do, but she'll be ready before you know it. Isn't that exciting?
Unexpectedly, the helmsman's confusion shifted into something darker. I decided to pry. Yeah, we'll have you back at the helm in no time. Unless you're getting cold feet or something. Yep, hit the nail on the head. The look in his eyes was unmistakable. He feared the skies. Despite his attempts to hide it, his fists were balled up and trembling. I knew the signs well enough. It wasn't my place to snoop further. From his perspective, I was just a busybody trying to dredge up a dream he'd long laid to rest. What could I do anyway? This was something he had to deal with himself. But hey, if I got through it, anyone could. So I did what I could. I put my hand on his shoulder and gave him a sympathetic nod.
Episode 8, Straighten Up and Fly Right. The Nautilus is ready for a test flight, but Kent's helmsman friend looks conflicted. Rackham realizes the helmsman fears taking to the skies. Having dealt with his own issues about flying, Rackham sympathizes with the man. Okay, let's set his skills back. As fun as duration and collateral damage are, I don't really think I need them. Straighten up and fly right.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can do this.
Hey Jirai, welcome into the stream. Thank you so much for coming by. Yeah, feel free to hang out with us and chill. Hope you're doing well today, or take a little break from your work.
It was a bombshell no one wanted to hear, especially as the Nautilus's repairs were finally wrapping up.
What are you talking about? This was our dream, wasn't it? What did you...
I'm afraid, okay?
A heavy silence permeated the room. It was uncanny how much of my former self I saw in him. Actually, uncanny's not the word. It was downright painful. See, to pilot an airship, you gotta make peace with the fear of flying, a close cousin of the fear of death. You, afraid? Aren't you a trained helmsman? I knew exactly how he felt, but decided to play dumb. His response was so faint, I wasn't sure if he'd said anything at all. Turns out, he made a bad call during a practice flight and crashed his vessel. Barely escaped with his life.
I don't want this dream to die, but my arms shake whenever I think of taking the wheel again.
Poor kid, he hadn't figured it out yet, but I knew how to teach him. Real shame the Nautilus won't have a helmsman. Maybe I should take over, till you're feeling up to it.
No. The Nautilus... The Nautilus is our ship.
He took the bait. Fair enough. Then come with me for a ride on the Grand Cypher. If you've got the grit for it, I mean. It was a risky gamble, but I had a feeling Lady Luck was on my side that day.
Well, another day, another dime.
Incredible. It even has an autopilot mode?
She's got it all, kid.
Why did Rackham bring us aboard?
I'm not quite sure myself, actually, but it is kind of fun.
Rackham! We've got company!
Aha!
No, I'm too young to die!
Everybody take cover. I'll handle
I'll try my new moves, or my moves I didn't use before. This.
Oh, I got the ammo to spare!
Wait, no, I gotta hold this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, pfft. Go away, bird. So you can use this one while it's on cooldown. That's interesting.
I won't let you get in harm's way. I promise.
I guess it just has lower duration if you do.
Heads up, people!
I don't even know what I'm shooting at. They're too high off the screen.
Oh, I got the ammo to spare!
It looks like I'm shooting EO. I guess, can I use the cannons in this one? Oh, I could. Where's the fun in that?
Hot enough for ya?
Oh, dumb bird.
That all? Come on! Bring it! Get it all on the board! Rain hell on them! Great. Now we gotta deal with these pests too? Always expect the unexpected, because in the skies, life and death fly cheek by jowl.
Expect the unexpected.
Fire! Between the eyes! Bring it! Always double looking good! Bring it!
Bring it on, you birds. Dragons, I guess.
He took down those wyverns. Skyfarers are a whole different breed, huh?
Stay sharp! We've got more wyverns coming our way!
Safe, well, the first horde was just recon, huh? Bring it! They'll go down all the same.
Come on, come down here and fight.
Why it is that you fight. I mean, you want to take to the skies? You gotta be ready for the storms, right?
Yeah. We truly believe in a dream. The risk of danger, a small price to pay.
A dream, huh? I let fear get the best of me, and I guess I lost sight of what's important.
Hot enough for ya? Don't let up!
Don't spin it!
Eat it! Go time! Ah, trot! Upsy daisy! Heads up, people!
Kind of hard to AoE with him.
Go time! Take back! Fire! Armor! All right, that's a lot. Now then, take a good look around you. Tell me that ain't a sky worth putting your life on the line for.
Yeah, it's really something, huh?
Oh, look at him sheath his
I
gun.
never knew it could be this beautiful.
Ha! One for the books.
Incredible! The skies are so vast!
Wow.
So that's what the town looks like from up high.
What a relief. I was worried the monster attack had only made things worse for the would-be crew.
That was a lot of monsters.
But the gamble paid off. The helmsman's eyes lit up with newfound determination.
The Nautilus will fly, and you can bet I'll be at the helm.
The skies have a way of making us understand. I'm just glad this kid decided to listen.
Yeah? Hello there.
Episode 9, The Sky Beckons. Rackham takes the timid helmsman on a flight aboard the Grand Cypher, hoping the experience will allay the man's fears. Rackham's gamble works. With a renewed sense of determination, the transformed helmsman promises to fly the Nautilus for himself and his friends.
Clear blue skies, gentle breeze. It was perfect conditions for the Nautilus's maiden voyage. As the helmsman gripped the wheel, I knew he was no longer shackled by fear. Kent, the mechanic, the merchant, even Lyria, Vern, and some of our other crewmates. Actually, damn near the whole town showed up to witness the rebirth of an old friend. As the propellers began to churn, a metallic sputter sounded from somewhere below deck. It was a symphony of gears I'd heard time and time again. That mechanic, she'd done it. After a brief checkup, they started the countdown. Tension was palpable. Come on, Nautilus. All eyes were on the airship. No one dared to breathe. A wind whipped up around the Nautilus, and there it was. Liftoff. And once again, she sailed into those skies so blue.
That was a little anticlimactic. I was expecting to hear, I don't know, some people cheering or something. Epilogue. New Dreams, New Horizons. Nearly the entire town attends the Nautilus's maiden voyage. With a roaring of engines and whirring of propellers, the ship climbs into the skies, carrying the promises and dreams of Kent and his friends. New Dreams, New Horizons.
A few weeks had passed since the Nautilus took its maiden voyage. According to Kent, the Nautilus was now Folka's leading cargo ship. Makes sense, given that it was 3 times faster than any other ship on the island. And not only that, but it seemed Kent had found himself a new dream already.
Okay, picture this, Rackham. 3 ships conjoined into one massive cruise liner. See? All we need to do is reconstruct these columns here and...
I wonder if I sounded that crazy to the others whenever I got my big ideas. Anyway, such a massive ship would require at least 3 helmsmen. So in his effort to make the cruise liner a reality, Kent started studying how to be a helmsman himself. But if Kent were to be the second pilot, who would be the third?
About that, actually, we'd be honored to have you as the lead helmsman of our ship.
Of course. It was a kind offer, but I already had a family in my crew and a home in the Grand Cypher. But that didn't mean I couldn't let the kid down easy. Sorry, Kent. This Skyfarer's not old enough to set anchor just yet. Until that day comes, you can find me wherever the wind blows.
Oh, it just ends like that? We don't even hear like Kent's response or anything like that? Nautilus service announcement.
Come again.
Nautilus got added to the glossary. Oh, Noah. Oh good, they're using his updated story art too, not his old art. Nautilus service announcement. Today, the new and improved Nautilus officially commences its route between Folka and Seed Hollow. Test flights have demonstrated that the Nautilus can reach 3 times the cruising speed of a conventional passenger ship. In other words, the Folka Seed Hollow journey, which once took 3 days, can now be completed in just 1. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused by the lack of transportation services while the Nautilus was being refurbished. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the lead engineer, Kent, and the entire refurbishment team for their hard work on this project. Folka Air Travel Association. That was a pretty okay Fate episode. Again, kind of like Catalina's. It was short, to the point. Oops, that's not the right menu. I'm so used to clicking on that menu. Short, to the point. I think it was a little better only because it was like Rackham helping an NPC, and that NPC, he saw so much of him in him. So it was a little bit more like, not specifically Rackham's character development, but taught us more about him and reflected his character. So I'll still give it about maybe like a 5.5 out of 10, kind of like I did with Catalina's, but it was fair. Nothing like to write home about it, but it was fair. The next up is Io. So she's the next character that joins the Grand Cypher crew after Rackham. A young mage who idolizes sophistication. She's headstrong and tenacious, perhaps even a little too much so at times. And she's a very gifted mage. Prologue, Io's decision.
If I hadn't met Master Zaka on that fateful day, if he hadn't saved me, there's no way I'd be where I am now. I'm from the Vaults Duchy, where the weather's sweltering all year long, thanks to a river of lava that flows through the island.
Oh, and for those curious, I mentioned this a few times, but the original SR version of Io that joins you in the game is actually water element, like Catalina, who's also water element. Later on, they added Grand Io, who was like a SSR better version of Io that you could use, and she was light element, which they carried over into this game, presumably because otherwise we would have way too many water characters. Same with Charlotta and Yoda, they were both originally water characters.
My hometown might not have been the most scenic place, but as long as I had Master Zaka with me, I was happy. After traveling for so long, I can finally say that with pride. Before I left on my journey, I was completely clueless. When my master went missing, I just ran around like a chicken with its head cut off. I was looking for something, anything that would help me find him, and that's when I met the crew. The reason behind his disappearance turned out to be even worse than I could have imagined. The Earthstate Empire had driven him out of his mind. They had manipulated him into awakening the primal beast that had lain dormant beneath the ground, Colossus. Fortunately, I was able to break through to him, thwarting the Empire's attempt to exploit Colossus's powers for conquest. I learned that they were doing all sorts of horrible things, even to their own people, in order to achieve their goals. My master was a kind person who never hesitated to help those in need. I resented the Empire for making him suffer. And I couldn't just sit around when there was work to be done. That's why I decided to join the crew. To stick it to those Empire jerks and give their victims something to smile about.
That's kind of interesting, because some of the characters in the prologue, they already give their entire backstory from the gacha game, while some characters, the prologue is a whole lot of nothing, and then it's episode 1 that they actually talk about their backstory. Presumably because maybe Io has a little bit more to her backstory to tell than some of the others, maybe? I don't know. Vaults Duchy is an island of intense heat that Io calls home. When her master goes missing, she teams up with the crew to find him. The search isn't easy, but they eventually locate and rescue him from his madness. She learns that the Earthstate Empire played a part in his disappearance and decides to join the crew to get revenge on the Imperials. Favorite teacher?
A few years before I met the crew, I lost my parents to an epidemic. I mourned their deaths for who knows how long. I could barely even bring myself to face reality each morning. With no living relatives in vaults, I was like a ship adrift at sea. I had nowhere to go and nowhere to belong. Until one day, my master reached out his hand to me. I was so depressed I just kept staring at the ground. But that gentle smile never left his face as he asked me, "Why do you look so sad?" There was something in his voice that made me look up. When I did, a beautiful bouquet of flowers appeared in his hand, seemingly out of thin air. I had no idea how he'd done it, but I knew it must have been some kind of parlor trick. But he insisted it was magic. What a goofball, right? Saying that when he can use real magic. But it was just the magic I needed at that moment. Beautiful and kind. He went on to show me all kinds of incredible spells, the likes of which I'd never seen before.
Watching him made me smile at a time when I thought I'd forgotten how. My master would always say that magic exists to make people happy. Something about that spoke to me. It made me want to become a mage just like him. So I signed myself up as his disciple, begging him to teach me magic. I'll never forget how happy I was when he told me I had talent. After all, if he was right, that meant I had the potential to make people smile too.
Episode 2, Smile Conjure. Ia was orphaned 3 years ago when her parents passed away from an epidemic. It was Zaka the Great, the Archduke of Valt's Duchy, who took her in and taught her magic exists to make people happy. From that day forth, she trains as a mage under his tutelage. Smile Conjure.
One day, shortly after I joined the crew, I suddenly lost the ability to use magic.
Oh, so now she's recounting the events of her other versions in the gacha game. She has like a little story arc where she loses the ability to use magic for a bit, and then she learns it back.
No matter how many times I tried casting a spell, nothing happened. I had no clue what to do. The rest of the crew thought Master Zaka might have the answers I needed, so we set sail for Vaults. It'd been forever since I'd been back home. My master was thrilled to see how much I'd grown. I opened my mouth to ask him about my problem, but when I saw how happy he looked, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I'd promised him that I'd come back as a great mage, but there I was, unable to cast even a single spell. The last thing I wanted was for him to be disappointed in me. Around that time, an epidemic returned to Vaults, the same disease that had claimed the lives of my parents. Wanting to keep it from spreading any further, my master headed to the clinic to speak with the people who'd been infected. But he ended up getting sick too. The source of the epidemic turned out to be an evil spirit that revealed itself to us right there in the clinic. I immediately confronted it. That rotten creature had already taken my parents from me. I wasn't gonna let it take anyone else. Determined to make it pay, I raised my staff, but nothing happened. I'll never forget how it felt to watch, helplessly, as my parents' killer got away. The crew gave chase, but I continued to stand where I was. Without my magic, I didn't see the point. I'd just end up getting in the way. All I could do was watch as my master suffered, withering away. Nothing had changed since the last time. But you know, it wasn't all bad. In search of a solution to my magic loss at the local library, I happened to come across a beautiful golden staff, one left to me by my mother. That's when Master Zaka revealed that my mother had been a mage too. On the verge of tears, I clenched my staff tightly in frustration. My beloved home and master were being threatened by a disease-spreading spirit, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Just as I began feeling completely hopeless, the staff began to glow. Somehow I could feel it encouraging me, empowering me. So what if I couldn't use magic? Surely there were other ways to help everyone. Unable to stand around doing nothing any longer, I ran off to find the crew. When I finally tracked them down, they'd already been rendered powerless by the disease. That left me as the only person who could fight. There wasn't a second to lose.
Use the staff to bonk it. That's what I do in Octopath Traveler.
It was that moment when I decided I was done running away. I'd promised myself a long time ago that I was going to use my magic to make people happy. Filled with newfound resolve, I heard a voice coming from the staff. Is that you? The voice told me to visualize the power flowing through me. As I did, I could feel magic welling up inside me, flooding out from deep within. With my mom's help, I was able to defeat the evil spirit. As soon as it was gone, light erupted from my staff. I turned to see the rest of the crew climbing to their feet, their symptoms gone. The power spread through the entire island of Valt's Duchy, eliminating the disease and bringing smiles back to the people. Things were a little touch and go there for a while, but in the end, everyone pulled through. And I've been able to use my magic without any issue ever since. I just know it's because my mom is watching over me through my staff.
Thanks to her, I can keep traveling with the crew, using the staff she left me to bring out more smiles along the way.
Wow, that was a lot longer for an introduction. Like, so they retold her story from the main story, but then also retold her entire story from one of her optional gacha versions as well. That's interesting. I bet that will feed into, like, her... They probably want to introduce her relationship with her mother there. That's probably going to feed into the rest of the story here, so we'll see. Interesting. During Io's travels with the crew, she mysteriously loses her ability to use magic. They return to Daltsvachi to see if they can find... Valdsduchy to see if they can find an answer. Coincidentally, the same epidemic that claimed Io's parents is spreading in Valds again. It appears to be caused by an evil spirit. While preparing to fight the spirit, Io obtains her mother's staff, which restores her magic. With her late mother's help, Io defeats the spirit. I hate you. Okay.
While out running errands in Folka one day, I came across a crowd of people in the town square. But from the sounds of things, it wasn't a friendly get-together.
I hate you all! Mom, Dad, everybody in this stupid town!
The boy shouted angrily at the adults and took off running, right into me. We both landed on our backsides. Sheesh, watch where you're going, kid. And that's when I noticed the tears streaming down his face. He was clearly upset about something. Hey, you okay? The boy hopped to his feet without a word, shooting me a glare before sprinting away. One of the adults started to follow after him, but...
Please, Doctor, there's not much time.
The crowd stopped him in his tracks.
But I can't just... No, you're right. My patients need me. Forgive me, Lev.
The man closed his eyes, muttered something to the townspeople, and ran off in the opposite direction. Wait, that kid was crying! You're not gonna go after him? I shouted after the man's back, but he either didn't hear me, or pretended not to. Then I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder.
I'm sure he wants to, sweetheart. You see, that boy is his son.
The boy's name was Lev. His father was a doctor, with many patients needing urgent care, so he had no choice but to ask the townspeople to find a son for him. I knew I should mind my own business, but I couldn't get the poor kid's face out of my head. He was probably hiding somewhere all by himself, crying his eyes out. I understood all too well how painful it felt to be alone. When Master Sokka reached out to me, it changed my life forever. Maybe it was my turn to do the same for someone else. I turned to ask the crew if we could join the search, but they were already gearing up to head after him. It seemed we'd all had the same idea. Just you wait, Lev, I thought to myself. I was gonna find him and put a smile back on his face, even if it meant sticking my nose where it didn't belong.
Okay, this story is already more involved off the bat. I like it. Episode 4, It's Just a Phase. The calm in Folka is broken by a boy named Lev. He screams that he hates all the adults in the village before running off into the forest. One man starts to chase after him but is held back by other townsfolk. Io learns that the man is Lev's father, a doctor who must prioritize his patients before his son. Picturing the boy crying alone is too much for Io to bear. She and the crew head into the forest to search for him. So I haven't played as Io yet either, but I've watched a few people play as her, so I kind of have a general idea. She sounds fun for a mage. She even has, like, ley lines. If you play FF14, like, she can make a circle where she casts better. It's a joke in FF14 that black mages never like to leave their ley lines, but they always get accosted by an AoE when they're in it. I think I already set her skills. Just some basic spells. It's just a phase.
The villagers didn't seem too worried about Lev. According to them, he'd have to venture much deeper into the forest before encountering any monsters.
Oh, that's what they say every time someone goes running off into the forest.
But that wasn't the issue. It seemed like nobody wanted to talk about why he'd run off in the first place. It was an obvious cry for help, and nobody was helping. I went through the same thing back in the day. Even after I met my master, there were times when the loss of my parents was just too much to bear. I didn't go so far as to run from home, but I'd sit alone in the corner of my room, hugging my knees to my chest and crying. Whenever Master Zaka found me like that, he'd always perform a silly magic trick to cheer me up. Just like me, all Lev wanted was for someone to find him, to take his hand. So he went off on his own in the hopes that someone would come for him. I'm sure he knew it was selfish, but it was the only card he felt he had left.
Do you think this means Lev doesn't want to live at home anymore?
I had a feeling that wasn't the case. He's probably just going through a rebellious phase.
Oh, that's when kids start arguing and acting out, right? Catalina told me it's pretty common. Did you have a phase like that?
Lyria's question was innocent enough, but I was too embarrassed to admit that I'd ever gone off alone because I wanted someone to pay attention to me. Heck no! That's not something befitting of a grown lady like myself. So what if I told a little lie? Our biggest concern right now was Lev, who was out there, probably crying with his back up against some rough, silent tree. He needed a friend, and I was more than determined to be one for him.
Io is a young mage who aspires to be an elegant lady. Also, the whole thing about Io, they keep saying that she wants to be an elegant lady and she wants to be sophisticated, which is true, but that seems like a character trait that was kind of added to her later in the main story of the mobile game, and then here it's like they magnify it a bit because they don't have too much else to go off of. Not that it does fit her, but it's just kind of, they keep emphasizing it. She's able to cast long-range spells and heal the party with recovery magic. X casts a ball of magic, while Y hits foes in a wide area. Her X is chargeable and grants her a Mystic Vortex Orb. So her grand version in the mobile game has this mechanic where you have to like expend her Skybound gauge to get these orbs that power up her attacks. It's a little bit... It's not super beginner friendly is what I'll say. It requires a little bit of planning. The number of orbs she has determines how high she can charge her Y attack. Charge up to the max level when the real magic happens.
This forest is as huge as ever. I sure hope Lev's okay.
Come on! We gotta find him! And fast!
The way that she just like flings out little magic orbs kind of reminds me of when you're playing as Aerith in FF7 Remake. Then you can charge. Quiet, Vern. I'm playing with my magic. So that's if I just do the spell normally. It's not super strong, but
I can do this.
I expend her Mystic Vortex Orbs.
Gotcha. You'll feel this
The enemies are probably gonna die too quickly for me to charge up anything for this fight.
It'll be bad news if he wanders too far in. We gotta track him down.
Wait, I have a skill that makes my Mystic Vortex go straight to 3 though.
Wait, we're still on the edge of the forest, right? What are goblins doing here? Fire!
Enchanted blast! Now! No time to waste! We've gotta find him!
Watch out for the fires! We're gonna need
Oh, there's still enemies. Hi.
Yo!
Get down here and fight me, cowards.
Not quite. I don't see him anywhere.
Just watch. Gotcha.
I like that roll rainbow. See if I can get off a Stargaze on this, whoever we're about to fight. Even if it's a low-level one.
Look! There he is! Over there!
I'm the one you want.
Jerk's trying to... Watch out for this!
Oh, I didn't even see where that one came from, but thanks, Catalina.
Don't worry, they're gone now. You okay?
Yeah. Thanks.
Look at me throw some magic around, kid. Do you like this? Do you like it? Watch your head. It's just a phase.
We were lucky we found Lev when we did, or he would have been Monster Chow. But before we could talk to him, the town watch came hurrying over.
Lev, your parents are worried sick about you. Come on, let's go home.
Lev looked away, ignoring the old man's outstretched hand. I could imagine how he was feeling, being treated like he was selfish and immature, when all he wanted was someone to sit down and talk to. The man sighed and scratched his head in frustration.
Your mom and dad are fine people. Try being a little more considerate, okay?
Lev immediately bristled at those words, breaking his silence.
What do you know? This is all your fault!
Knocking the man's hand out of the way, he turned and ran deeper into the forest. It was like watching a scene from my own past, but I wished he'd get a grip already. The deeper he went into the forest, the more likely he was to get attacked. We had to hurry.
I think it's so funny in so many of these Fate episodes, and just in general, like the storylines of a lot of these games. It's like they'll meet an NPC, usually a kid, that runs off in the forest, and it's like, oh no, we gotta go save them. But it's like, the kid is probably like 5 steps ahead of you. It's like, they could not have gotten away that easily, that far. But whatever. We'll suspend our disbelief. The crew saves Lev from monsters. A member of the Vulcan Defense Corps arrives to escort the boy home. Lev rebuffs the Corps member's hand, yelling it's the adult's fault, and flees deeper into the forest. Io frantically chases after him. Yeah, I guess video game kids have lightning fast speed.
We all split up to search for Lev so we could cover more ground. I didn't see any trace of him at first, so I thought I must have gone the wrong way. But then I noticed footprints that looked like someone had slipped over a nearby ledge. And sure enough, when I peeked down, I saw a familiar figure sitting hunched over, knees to his chest. He looked a little scraped up, but didn't seem to be hurt badly. I was just glad I'd managed to find him still in one piece. When I told him I was a Skyfarer, he immediately burst into tears of relief. I could tell he was upset with the villagers about something, and that's why he couldn't be honest with them. But as an outsider, I thought I might have a chance. Watch closely. I'm gonna cast some special magic just for you.
I'm gonna cast a special magic just for you. Lights him on fire.
It was time for one of my master's patented magic tricks. I showed Lev my empty palm before covering it with a handkerchief. I flung the cloth away, and voila! There was a piece of candy in my hand.
And I said to him, I am the witch Beatrice, ruler of this island.
Wow, candy!
Here, you can have it. After devouring the candy, he finally calmed down.
Thanks.
Normally, that would have been enough to lift any kid's spirits. But his face fell again as quickly as it had lit up. I guess he really doesn't want to go home. I decided I wouldn't leave him until there was a smile back on his face.
Episode 6, On the Run. Io finally tracks down Lev after a long search. She performs a magic trick her master taught her, which comforts the boy especially when he gets a piece of candy at the end. The treat lifts his spirits for a second, but he immediately becomes depressed again. On the Run.
While we were still deep in the woods, I decided to ask Lev up front. Why did you run away? He hesitated at first, but after seeing that I was serious, he started to open up.
My mom and dad used to work as doctors in Tempeal.
Back then, all had been well with their family. But when Furikin went berserk, they lost their home and ended up moving to Folka. And that was when things started to fall apart. His parents began to spend all of their time tending to patients who were affected by the disaster, with hardly a moment's rest. Lev watched as his mom got paler and the black circles under her eyes grew darker and darker. He begged her to take a break, but it was no use. Eventually, she collapsed from overwork.
I told her she wouldn't be able to help people anymore if she got sick. She just wouldn't listen to me.
And here I thought he was just a kid going through a rebellious phase. That wasn't the case at all. That's really grown up of you, Lev. You're just worried about your mom and dad, huh?
Yeah.
After hearing Lev's explanation, I finally understood how he felt. I knew how hard it was watching people you cared about pushing themselves too hard. I couldn't stand to see my master doing it either. And that's exactly what was going through Lev's mind. He wasn't being selfish. Everything he did, it was because he loved his parents.
This story is turning out to be quite good. Like, I think it's another issue that is something that might hit home for a lot of people, which I think is good. Lev eventually trusts Io enough to explain the reason for his outbursts. His parents were doctors in Tempeal, and they had lost their home in the Furicane disaster. Ever since coming to Folka, his parents saw patients without rest, causing his mother to collapse from exhaustion. Io senses that Lev is simply sick with worry for his parents' well-being. Finding common ground.
If it were me in his shoes, I'm sure I'd be worried sick about my parents too. There's nothing wrong with worrying about your parents. I'm sure they're proud to have a son who cares so much.
But
what? Something was still on his mind.
I always wanted to be a great doctor, just like my mom and dad. But after my mom collapsed, I started thinking maybe everybody else was just using them.
Along the way, he'd stopped being able to trust the people of Folka, and he thought feeling that way meant he could never follow in his parents' footsteps. Lev stared at the ground as he spoke, finally confiding his troubles to me. After hearing his story, I began to open up about my own parents. He listened to my words in silence. My parents had also strained themselves too hard after getting sick, and eventually passed away. So Lev's circumstances were all too familiar. Just like him, I felt nothing but bitterness and despair. There was one difference. I've got to admit, I envy you a little. After all, your mom and dad are still alive and well. While we were standing there talking, Lev's parents and the villagers were probably beside themselves with worry, braving the dangers of the forest to search for him. When I told him that, Lev finally seemed to grasp the situation.
I really messed up, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Are you sure I'm the person you should be saying that to? I stood up and smiled at Lev. He and his family all seemed like really good people. The only thing they needed to patch their home back together was a long heart-to-heart.
Episode 8, Change of Heart. Lev continues to confide in Io, confessing he feels like the townspeople are taking advantage of his parents' kindness and duty as doctors. He fears his distrust means he can never become a great doctor like his parents. Io persuades him to see the situation differently and suggests they go back to Folka.
As we made our way back to town, Lev still seemed anxious. Don't start freaking out yet. First you need to apologize to your parents. Then you can tell them everything you told me.
Well, how am I supposed to say it, though?
Talk about helpless. Lucky for him, he had a grown-up lady around to nudge him in the right direction. How about I teach you that special magic I showed you earlier?
But that wasn't real magic, right? It was just some cheap trick.
Rude. It was good enough to make you stop blubbering, wasn't it? Come on, let me see your hand. The trick I showed him could be used without any special training. It was the magic designed to bring smiles that my master had taught me. Lev watched me closely, then tried his best to copy what I did. He practiced over and over and over.
Yeah, you have to be an alchemist first if you want to be a doctor, kid. Because in the Granblue mobile game, I mean, the main character, Gran, and Jita have character classes, and one of the classes is Doctor, but you need Alchemist class to unlock Doctor class.
After walking through the forest for a while, we heard the voices of Lev's parents and the other villagers.
Lev? Answer if you can hear me!
Where are you, Lev?
Mom! Dad!
As soon as Lev heard his parents' voices, he broke into a run. At that moment, the villagers' shouts echoed through the nearby woods.
Look out!
An enormous figure was approaching, knocking down trees as it lumbered toward us. It couldn't be a goblin.
Intruders, die!
It all happened so quickly. The goblin lunged to attack Lev's parents.
You're gonna have to go through us first.
Huh? Lev was speechless. It seemed as if the entire town of Folka had stepped up to protect his parents from the monster.
It's funny to hear the goblins talk in an actual like story narrated cutscene instead of just like in a battle quote.
What I did next was purely out of instinct. Freeze! A block of ice appeared out of thin air, slamming into the goblin's head.
Tasty meat! You first!
The spell had done its job. I'd gotten the goblin's attention. I finally made a breakthrough with Lev. I wasn't gonna let monster breath over here ruin their happy reunion.
Yay, violence.
I've got a spell with your name on it.
I wish there was something we could do to help her.
I'll try mixing up a potion. That should do the trick.
There's more of them. What do we do now?
Stand back, everyone. I can handle this by myself. Got Fire!
Give me time to cast.
I'll show you
Come on, yo, aim in the right direction. Why is this fight so much more involved than the other Fate episodes?
Take more than that to scare me.
Yeah, you got this!
He's putting up
Stop breaking my guard.
fight.
He needs medicine, quick! Kiro, I whipped up the potion for you!
Thanks! You're a lifesaver.
Come on, you can do this!
Not quite. We won't lose. One more.
I'll have to do.
Get him. I'll burn you.
Hey, Honario, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming by. You were fighting for your life when you did this Fate episode.
Actually do this.
I think Drago said the same thing.
There's another potion with your name on it!
Thanks, Lev. Just what I needed.
You could lower the difficulty to story difficulty too if you're having trouble, but okay, I'm gonna power through this. I'm gonna do this. No, don't hit the goblin, hit the big one. Get away from me. Eat your magic balls. Take this. My EO is level 100, but she still has like the stats of a level 50 character because I only did like half her mastery nodes. And her weapon is like level 75. I kind of like the Fate episodes being a little bit harder though, because usually I can't even get off a Skybound during a Fate episode. So it's kind of nice to have the ability to actually like try it out and see it for a character I don't usually use. Yeah, having a shielded character for a ranged character is kind of mean. Ow.
Another revival potion coming up.
I'll have to do. Dang it! I canceled out of my own fireball and it didn't go off. Eat this! You're gonna die in 6 seconds! Oh, never mind, I went- oh, good. I was like, oh no, I let him get into Bloodlust. Or Bloodthirst. I keep calling it Bloodlust.
She took it down all by herself.
Told you we could handle it.
I kind of wish all the Fate episode final battles were kind of like that.
First you saved Tempeal, and now us. Thank you, Skyfarer.
The people of Volca were all safe, including Lev's parents. After thanking me, Lev turned to the villagers, shuffling his feet nervously.
I'm really sorry, everybody. Thanks for protecting my mom and dad.
Come now, there's no need for that. We're the ones who ought to be thanking your folks. They've done so much for us. Sorry for everything we've put your family through.
Lev and I shared a glance before he turned to his parents, finally telling them everything he'd been bottling up inside. His parents and the people of Volca listened intently, nodding every so often at his words.
Seeing the title of this chapter be Change of Heart, it's like, Lev, you know what else you could have done? You could have invaded your parents' mind palace and given them a calling card, you know?
You only ever had everyone's best intentions at heart, didn't you? We're so sorry for making you worry.
I chalked it all up to selfishness and immaturity, but should have heard you out. I hope you can forgive your old man.
I was just glad everything had turned out all right in the end.
Ew! We're here to help!
I just realized I don't think I have any sigils on Catalina, Rackham, or Io. I should have done that in preparation for today's stream, but I totally forgot. Because I just brushed aside the Fate episodes as being, you know, lately they've just been quick battles, so I think I curved the difficulty for perfect.
Sorry, we were clear on the other side of the woods. What happened to that giant monster?
What the heck? You're the one who said heroes always arrive just in the nick of time. But what kind of hero arrives after the fight's already over?
What does that matter right now? Here, let me take a look at you. You're not hurt or anything, are you?
Yeah, I was extra challenge mode.
You have no idea how much I wanted to tease Rackham for losing his cool. But I held it in. It's really nice knowing you have people who care.
All right. We've got lunch professionals, good food, good.
Come to view the requests?
Episode 9, A Genuine Smile. On the way back to Folka, Io and Lev hear the boy's parents calling for him through the trees. Suddenly, a giant goblin ambushes his parents, and the townspeople quickly jump in to protect them. This buys Io time to fend off the goblin. After seeing how the townspeople came to his family's rescue, Lev apologizes for his behavior.
The day had arrived for Lev to show his parents the magic trick he learned from me. Was he going to be able to pull it off? I had to see for myself, so I followed them to a restaurant in town and sat at a nearby table. Somehow just watching was enough to make me nervous too.
I want to show you something.
Come on, you can do this! It's all about sleight of hand, remember? Lev showed his parents the palm of his empty hand and covered it with a handkerchief. Then he removed the cloth just like I taught him. But when he opened his hand, there was nothing there. I thought he must have made a mistake, but it turned out I was wrong.
I learned this trick so I could make others smile. You're actually supposed to have a present in your hand when you open it, but I couldn't think of what to give you.
Unable to hold in the tears any longer, Lev started to cry.
You both have done so much for me. I just couldn't find anything good enough.
Aww.
He wiped away his tears with the back of his hand, his voice quavering slightly as he fought to get the words out.
Either that or he couldn't master the magic trick, and so this was like the best way he could go about doing it, where he was like, okay, I gotta act emotional and then make up the sob story and then they'll still like it, right?
I'm really sorry for running off and scaring you guys. But I was worried because you're always so busy. It hurt when you wouldn't listen to me, and I've been so lonely. Tried not to let it get to me, but it just ended up being too much.
We're sorry too, Lev. But don't worry, soon we won't be as swamped anymore. There's supposed to be a big group moving to Folka from Seed Hollow soon. I hear at least one of them's a doctor.
Once things have settled down, we'll all spend some quality time together. I'd love to go shopping in Seed Hollow as a family. That sort of thing. You'd like that too, right, dear?
Of course. As long as we decide on a budget beforehand.
Way to go, Lev! Seeing them all smiling together like that reminded me of Master Sokka for some reason. Once we're back in Fanta Grande, I think I'll pay a visit to Vaults and tell him all about this little adventure.
Epilogue, The Future is Bright. Lev speaks frankly with his parents about what's bothering him. His mom and dad promise they'll soon have more time to spend together after a group of doctors from Seed Hollow move to Folka. Finally, the boy is able to smile again. The future is bright.
Sometime later, a brand new clinic was built in Folka. Apparently, the people of Tempule and Folka had chipped in to pay for it. A doctor really did move in from Seed Hollow too, so Lev's parents were finally able to make more time for their son.
I'm gonna be a great doctor one day. I'll work super hard so I can give you a real present. Just you wait and see.
With an attitude like that, I have no doubt he'll make an amazing doctor. And besides, now he has my patented magic trick to put smiles on everyone's faces. When I peeked inside the clinic on one of our days off, I saw Lev chatting happily with the people of Folka. I'm sure this town will keep prospering even after we leave. The people here are tough. They'll overcome any hardship that comes their way. And that's what I believe anyway. After seeing the smile on Lev's face, how could I think otherwise?
Grand opening announcement.
Have a nice day.
Or glossary. Got updated with Colossus. Fulka Medical Clinic will see you now. Thanks to the generous donations we received, Fulka Medical Clinic is proud to open its doors to serve the community. This wouldn't have been possible without your valuable contributions. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts. With our new and improved equipment and staff, we are now able to accept emergency visits, as well as provide house calls in the evenings. Our enhanced system for rotating attending physicians means everyone gets the speedy care they need in case of emergencies. Protecting your health is our highest priority. If you're not feeling well for any reason, please stop by for a friendly consultation. That was sweet. I think EO's is probably the best Fate episode we've done today out of these 4. I think it was nice because, kind of like Rackham's, it also had like EO encounters an NPC that's going through some struggles that she can relate to, so we kind of learn about her as a character. It had like a kind of twist at the end, like with the kid, like, you know, he does a magic trick and there's nothing there because he wants to thank his parents, so that was kind of there. It was heartwarming, but it also had like an issue that would hit close to home for some people, I think, you know, having loved ones you see overworking themselves, but, you know, not quite seeing eye to eye about that. So I think it was a cut above what we've seen already. And it also did not feel as disjointed. I felt like, for example, Gran's felt really disjointed because it was almost like 2 mini arcs. And then like Catalina's had the, I mean, it wasn't disjointed, but it was just like had the parts where she leaves and then she gets a letter and then she comes back repeatedly. And like one of the Fate episodes was just the letter, which is kind of weird to me. So I felt like it was better. I think I'll maybe give it like a 7 out of 10 if I were to rate that one too. But we got through these a lot faster than when we did the Dragon Knights ones, which again, if you're watching this on YouTube, is actually coming in a later video. But that was kind of good because I'm glad, because the Fate episodes again are not as engaging as, well, regular gameplay, and they're not as engaging as, I think, in my opinion, the mobile games writing in the more recent years. Not like in the first couple years of the mobile game, the writing was a little rough, but thank you for sticking around. I know these streams are not as engaging, but I'm happy for the company. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the characters as well, and for those of you playing Relink, I'm glad you guys are having fun, or for those of you just starting Relink as well. So again, we'll still do more streams. I don't want to do more than 4 characters in one stream because it's just kind of, you know, kind of drags on. We'll do another 4 characters Fate episodes next time. In the meantime, I'll also continue farming Proud mode quests to try to get some good drops to build my vein to get ready for Lucilius. So we'll do a little bit of both of that in the meantime. And maybe if I can, I'll try to sneak in some more Persona 3 because I also want to play some more Persona 3. But next week, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, so a lot of stuff to look forward to. And then after that, it's Unicorn Overlord comes out, and I might be playing that too. So we might not have time to come back to this game right away, so I want to get all this done as soon as I can, but that will also depend on how RNG treats me when it comes to farming as well, so I guess we'll see. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming by, I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the new people stopping by as well. Let's find someone to raid. Let's see who's streaming now. Perfect. Lace is streaming some Persona 4 or Persona 3 Reload. He's in, according to his stream title, he's in the September-October part of the game. So if you don't want spoilers, then maybe look away for a bit. We're gonna say hi to Lace because he's awesome. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Granblue or Persona. We'll see. Keep your eye on Twitter. I'll update you. I might even not have a stream tomorrow if I change my mind, or if I feel like just grinding off stream. Will depend on my mood. And also because I have a long day at work tomorrow, so I might be a bit too tired. We'll see. Yeah, thank you everyone. I'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.